How we doing, folks? Welcome back to Brew Time. This week, this is a very, very emotional episode for everybody involved, for me, for Gordon and Craig, the two guests, for you folks who submitted questions, incredibly personal details about your lives and the losses that you've suffered. Thank you so much to all of you who did that. This episode deals with grief and dealing with grief. We go into it in a lot of depth. There's a lot of raw emotion there from everyone. I just wanted to give you a little bit of maybe a health warning beforehand. If you are going through grief, or this is something that, you know, touches close to home, I'm not saying don't watch it. Please do watch it, but just be aware that this could stir some emotions for you. You will, I promise you, get benefit from what we chat about in it, but it can be a tough one. As such, I don't think it's right to interrupt this episode with sponsor readouts and things like that. So if you'll bear with me, I want to do them now. We'll get them out the way and then we can crack on with the podcast. So obviously, first off is Ultimate Add-ons. Ultimate Add-ons have sort of been with me and supported me right from the start, way back in about 2017, 18. They were giving me phone holders and stuff, and they came on board with the channel to help support it. Not officially as a sponsor for the main channel, but for the podcast, certainly, when that first started. They've been with us from the beginning. So, Ultimate Add-ons, they're a provider of premium manufacturer of mobile phone and action camera mounting solutions for motorcycles. With a kit for any bike and a proven track record of creating products that keep your device, you know the blurb, I read this through all the time, don't I? They do phone cases. The vibration of your bike will not damage the camera. I've been using them for years, never had an issue. I use the ratchet strap mount and then the case for my specific camera, but I use the ratchet strap one, which you'll find, I think, on the bicycle section. It's not in the motorbike section. I think it's called the Helix strap. Brilliant. I can attach it to just about any bike out there. There's pretty much always a way that I can get this thing attached to the bike and then pop my phone on it. And then obviously I use Kalimoto for my navigation, so I like to see my phone there. They're dustproof, they're waterproof, they're vibration proof, everything like that. You can use the phone as your camera, as a phone, whilst it's in the phone case if you want. They are chunky, they will help protect your phone there. Great bits of kit. Ultimate Add-ons also do mounting solutions for action cameras. They even do heated grips now. They do all sorts. Check out their website, ultimateaddons.com. If you use the code TeapotOne, all one word, TeapotOne, Teapot with O-N-E at the end of it, and then the number 10, TeapotOne10, you'll get 10% off of their range. That code also works over on the Dango Design website, which is the one that does the gripper mount for your helmets, you know, one that goes up on your chin there. So check them out, and a massive thanks to them for their support. We're also supported by the Influencer Store. Now, the Influencer Store helps you build your brand, big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea or design, and there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check us out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop us an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information. Influencer Store handle all my merch for TeapotOne and also the Brewtime t-shirts. You get them all over at TeapotOne.com. They're a local firm based over in Wales, husband and wife team. The whole family get involved, Roger and Charlotte and all the family. They've been with me for many, many years now. They've been supporting the podcast pretty much from the start as well. So a massive thanks to them. Lastly, a massive shout out to all of you, everybody that's watching the podcast, everyone that watches the main TeapotOne vids. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much. I mean, we've just surpassed 500,000 downloads, which is phenomenal. We are already the top 10% podcasts in the world, believe it or not. It's insane, and we regularly are ranking within the top 3 motorcycle podcasts for the UK. Sensational, and it's all down to all of you. All of you who leave questions for us to go through in each episode of the podcast, particularly those of you over in the clan who really do make this possible. I could not do any of this without you guys. You make this dream a reality. So thank you very much to all of you. If you fancy joining the clan, folks, patreon.com/TeapotOne. See if there's anything there that takes your fancy. If you are listening to the podcast, please, if you listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever your podcast platform is, if you leave a rating, leave a comment and share it to anyone that you think might enjoy this, or particularly for this episode, might get some benefit from it. All right, folks, enjoy this one. Have some hankies ready, not for those reasons. Have some hankies ready, and let's step into this podcast. Let's step into this episode with the lads from Riding Through Grief. I think it only goes to 1080. This is a 4K webcam, but Zoom won't let you do 4K. So
I see.
This is fine. Cool. This is all good. You got a beer on the go. I can see that. Happy days.
I've got a few.
Gordon's got a few.
A few miniatures here. What we have? Bunnahabhain, Lafroig, Ardbeg, Jura. What do we have, Bruce?
See,
what do you fancy?
Folks, Gordon is a bit of a whiskey connoisseur, so I thought, I'm a big Dalmore fan, so I cracked open a bottle of Dalmore.
That's the one I sent you, Bruce.
It is, so it was, in honour of that. So I've cracked that one open because I think we're going to need some stiff whiskies for this one.
Yeah. You're not getting any more because I heard you say to Mark from Leeds you had 32 bottles.
It's ridiculous. I've got 32 bottles of whiskey, most of them unopened at the moment. So yeah, I need to crack on through them.
Yeah, listen, before we head on, thanks very much for having us on. I really appreciate it. It means the world to me. So thank you.
Absolute pleasure, mate. As soon as I heard your story, I thought that is something that needs to be shared, because obviously you lads aren't the only ones that are going through this, not to diminish what you're going through, but this is something sadly
it's frightening, the amount of people that are dealing with this kind of thing. That's the problem.
I don't know if you've read the comments at all and the questions.
Some of them, yes.
Oh my God, there's so many people going through horrific times. Yeah. So, and I've already said to Gordon that I'm going into this with some trepidation, because obviously I lost my mum 16 years ago, and I've never really faced any of it and dealt with any of it. So, I can see this being quite a tough couple of hours.
Yeah, it's not an easy subject, let's be honest, is it?
Are we up and running at the moment? Are we?
I mean, we can be. I mean, I normally just go straight from the off, but
okay.
I think for those listening, for the people listening at home and the folk watching, if you're not aware of what this podcast is all about, this episode, what Riding Through Grief is, we're going to go into it in some detail, but this podcast is going to dealing with grief and loss of loved ones. So if any of you are going through something like that at the moment, and maybe you feel like it's not something you can deal with right now, then no problems. Feel free, skip this one, come back to it at a later date. But I am positive there will be things covered in this podcast which will help you, 100%, which will help you.
Definitely.
So, yeah. Right, lads, let's crack on. It's not all going to be,
no, definitely
it's
not.
Not all doom and gloom.
Definitely
not
No. There's a lot of joy to come from.
Of course there is.
What's going on here?
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Gents, Craig, Gordon, Riding Through Grief. What's it all about?
Oh, where do we start? This is a long one. I'll try not to bore the tears out of you. Right.
Your bit.
Obviously, we know the situation. I lost my wife back in April, and it was 4 years of hell almost. So 2 years undiagnosed, and then 2 years knowing what was happening. And nothing in the world can prepare you for hearing the news that the person that you go to bed every night with and spend your life with and sit and chat with, and everybody, the person that's always on the other end of the phone is going to die. Nothing prepares you for that. So when Sarah was ill for all the years, there was obviously all that fear that something was sinister, something was going on. When she was diagnosed, she was told right at the start in September 2022 that she was stage 4, that it had metastasised into other parts of her body, and that she was going to die in 12 to 18 months. That was the rough guide with treatment. And she did. She lasted 19 months to be precise. But the whole thing, the mental health side of that is the complete denial that this can't possibly be happening to me.
Aye.
And Sarah was a biker. She loved biking. She loved all that sort of world camping. We used to go away on the bike together, and we used to go to motorbike racing down in Skeggy and all these places. And it was our life. We loved it. And she fought like an absolute warrior through most of it. It was only the last sort of 3 months she really struggled, and she went downhill, and you know, I was her full-time carer. So I put a lot of my life on hold over the past few years, and I'm involved in music. I'm a musician first. Musician, photographer. I love media, as well as a biker. I've been riding a bike since I was 16, and everything went on hold. But I had always this dream about doing a YouTube channel. It wasn't this YouTube channel, but we had plans with music and all that, and Sarah was amazing and supportive. But when we realised what was happening, I was struggling to deal with it, and you know, we talked about, she said, you know, what about sharing with other people and all these sort of things. So that put the seeds in.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I've been following you since you started your round the world trips. That was a fascinating. I was a bit like yourself. I was a fan of Charlie and you and doing the round the world thing. And Sarah and I used to talk and dream about one day that'll be us. And then I found you, and I thought, this is amazing. This is just an ordinary guy that's doing it. And that, believe it or not, was a big inspiration for me getting my finger out my backside. So you're to blame for that. But after she passed away, I thought long and hard about it. I wasn't sure whether I should do it. I didn't know whether it made me look weak, vulnerable. All, you know, all the stuff that folks think. And I thought, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. Nothing. I've lost everything. I'm going to go and put myself out there in the hope that I can connect or help someone else. And I did. And right away, I got an initial sort of hit of people coming on board and supporting and giving lovely things, comments. And that kind of spurred me on to sort of share a wee bit more and try. But the whole idea was as a cathartic thing for me. It was to try and unload a bit and share my journey. And again, the hope that, you know, I might connect with someone that's going through the same sort of thing, and I might encourage them to share and stuff. That's how it basically started. But it only started like that because Sarah gave me the strength to do it. She's the one that sort of talked me into it and left me my list of things to do and my book. And, you know, this is where the bed goes, by the way, and there's the phone number for occupational health and stuff. One of these kind of wives, you know. Even in death, she's like, no, this is who you phone to get rid of things.
Tell me what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that in mind, I decided just to kind of put myself out there, and really that was it in a nutshell. It's to say to people, look, I'm a bloke, I've went through hell and back, and I want to come out there and share my story and see if there's anything that I've done might help someone else. And that's it in a nutshell. And obviously my motorcycle's my tool. It's my baby. I've been riding them all my life. And it was one of the passions that Sarah and I shared. So I thought, what better way to go out there and get out? And then, you know what it's like riding a bike. You know, you're focused. And I thought, I'm out on the road. I've got to concentrate on what I'm doing here. It took me a wee while to kind of get into the swing of it. But yeah, that was it. It's all about trying to share my story and helping other people, maybe some way down the line. Because I've been rock bottom. I mean, I don't know how blunt you want me to be here, but when you can't, my feelings at the start were complete inability to face the reality of what was happening. Yeah. And I had planned to drink a big bottle. I'd kicked myself a big bottle of morphine.
Had you?
I'd planned my demise before she died, because I couldn't figure out how I was possibly going to live on. And she gave me a bollocking. Found out.
Did she?
I don't know how she found it. Her sister or somebody must have caught on to what I was thinking, and she gave me an absolute rollicking for it and said, you know, I need to get my finger out and I need to fight on and I need to do this. So she's been there, even in death, kicking me up the arse and making sure.
That book to give you.
Aye. Well, this is it. Aye, yeah. So it's but aye, that's how Riding Through Grief was born. I thought, if I can do it, other people can do it. And if I can show people that there's tools out there and there's ways to get through this, then, as I said, maybe I'll stop someone from taking that bottle of morphine.
Aye.
Or, you know, that's the ultimate aim. Mental health comes in all forms, isn't it?
It's never more prominent than now.
Aye, well, my occupational health at work have told me I've got PTSD. My wife had quite a bad passing. I don't want to get into too much detail about that, but it was traumatic. And it's one of these things that for months and months and months I had just nightmares, couldn't sleep. and being out on the bike has probably been. Someone made a comment on my channel, and it was quite a poignant comment about someone moaning at them. Bikes, you'll get killed riding a bike. My bike saved my life. Literally. And Big G sitting next to me, I think, who's one of the few guys that are taller than you, Bruce.
He is, yeah. You're a big old unit.
Gordon was one of the first people that contacted me through the channel, strictly because of what I was sharing out there. And that was the goal in the first place, was to see, look, if I can connect with one person, then, I've helped one person. But I'm hoping that there will be other people that this will resonate with and help. You just don't know, do you? Some people don't like to talk about it. Some people might just watch it, and it might give them a wee bit of hope. They might not reach out, but you just don't know.
Everyone deals with things differently, don't they? I'm very much a sort of lock it away, and I'll deal with that at some point. When it's time. Yeah. But other people need to deal with stuff there and then, don't they? And get
absolutely.
It out. Yeah.
I was a bit like that myself. I was a bit like, I'll just stick it in the cupboard, the metaphorical cupboard, and I'll keep it away. But the problem with this was it was like a bulldozer. It was the reality. It was just the difficulty of facing that this is really happening. This can't be happening. And it was like that for 2 years. And every time we had a wee bit of hope, or she improved a wee bit, and we thought, this is great, she's picking up, there would always be something that come along. Nothing ever worked, it was always getting a bit worse and a bit worse. And she remained stoic for the whole thing. She was amazing, right to the end. And
a quick difference from Sarah thinking there's something not right here to her passing was, what did we say, 4 years? Because my wife was 14 months from I don't feel right to passing was 14 months.
Wow.
And that was bad enough, 14 months. So,
So Gordon, if you keep the mic in front of your mouth, because the audio disappears. That's it.
That
perfect.
better? Yep. Okay.
Much better, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just saying that Craig was, he's what you say?
This is, I'm training him.
His wife was 4 years from I don't feel right to passing away, and my wife was 14 months from I don't feel right to passing away, so I can't imagine what 4 years of that would have been like. But the way I found out about Craig's channel was I was just out to dinner with a couple that we knew, and normally we'd go out in a foursome, so here I was being the third wheel, just the gooseberry out with a couple. And on the way home, my friend Jill said to me, she said, I know somebody who knows a guy who's just lost his wife to cancer in April. And of course, I was March, a month before. I said, well, that's a coincidence. He said, he's got a motorbike. I thought, well, that's another coincidence. And then you'll laugh at this next bit. He's got a YouTube channel. And I thought, I've got a YouTube channel. It's got 43 subscribers, but I've got a YouTube channel. Anyway, so I thought, that's wonderful. I said to her, Joe, what's the name of his channel? I want to have a look at his videos. Oh, she said, I can't remember. She said, I'll tell you tomorrow. So she came back the next day and said, it's called Riding Through Grief. So on I went to the channel to have a look and watch a couple of these vids. And the first one I got, and Craig hasn't mentioned this, but Craig went to do the NC 500 because it was one of the things that Sarah had put in the book that he was to do. And the video that I ended up watching was Craig up north somewhere, and then suddenly on his bike in the rain coming home and saying, I can't do this. I've just had a sort of a big brain fart. I can't do this. And to your credit, although I'm not going to call that a failure, because it's not a failure.
It was a failure on my part. But
yeah, but here he was feeling really, really down. It's pouring with rain. He's on his way home. He can't mentally hack it, but he's recording it all. Most of us would have switched the camera off. So anyway, commented on the video. One thing led to another. Next thing you know, I'm direct messaging him, email, and then I'm like, well, where do you live? He says, I live in Paisley. I said, Christ, I'm from Paisley. I don't live in Paisley now, not very far away. I said, I'm a Paisley buddy. And he says, a buddy, you're a St Mirren supporter? And I said, yeah. He says, well, I'm a St Mirren supporter. I thought, right, another coincidence. So we'd gone for a coffee by this time in a cafe, and then we even discovered we went to the same school together.
Really?
Craig's 10 years younger than me, so we went to school together.
I know I look 20 years younger.
I know he doesn't look it, but he's 10 years younger than me. So it turned out we went to the same school as well. So we did all this stuff in common, became great pals very quickly. Yeah. And then we started to go out rides together. and you were talking about not dealing with your grief. And the first ride we went was down to the Castle. There's a series of videos there with the two of us are in them.
Yeah.
And what started to develop was, because as I said to you down in Spain, I said I'm not particularly intelligent, but I'm very analytical. I'll take anything apart. And I took grief apart and put it into about 20 different aspects.
Aye.
And I started to do little snippets on each of our videos on different aspects of grief. And the first one was all about where and when do you deal with your grief. So, for example, I'm at work. This is a few months ago. I'm at work or I'm out with friends, and suddenly, poof, black thoughts. Everything's coming raining into you. You can't control. And eventually, I was able to say, "I'll deal with you later." And I described it like walking down the hall in your house and seeing the bedroom door open, and that's your grief in there. So you go over and you just shut the bedroom door because you're not ready to deal with it. But later on that day, when you've got time, or maybe the next day, you'll go down, open the door, put a light on, go inside, shut the door and sit in the bed and deal with it. And whether that means half an hour of grabbing the kitchen roll and having a blubber, whatever it is, you're going to deal with it, because you can't go over it, under it, around it. You've got to go through it.
You've got to
because if you don't get through it, it'll come out in other ways. Come out in road rage, violence, whatever.
Yeah.
You've got to deal with it. And then there came other things where we talked about, we'll maybe come on to this later, but as I explained to you, I used to fit artificial limbs. And when someone loses a limb, particularly in a motorbike accident, it happens very quickly, they get phantom limb sensation. They feel as if their limb's still there, itchy foot and all that. So then I did it. I'll maybe come back to this later, let you say a bit more. But I started to talk about phantom Ruth sensation. My wife's name was Ruth. And how after 40 years of seeing that person every day, your senses, your touch, your smell, your taste, her scent, her touch, her voice, her vision, 40 years every day, and then it's not there. And like the limb that's just been cut off, all the nerves going to the brain are still there. So my brain was craving to hear and to see this person. And so you would conjure up an image of them very, very, very easily. It wasn't hard to do.
Yeah,
If
definitely.
you looked at them every day for 40 years, with certain exceptions. So it was almost like having phantom Ruth sensation, where all the nerve endings from my five senses were telling my brain, where's this person going? I can still hear them, I can still see them.
Yeah.
And I think, as I say in the thing, I think that sort of thing subsides eventually. That part of grief subsides because your brain isn't used to seeing them every single day. As time goes by, you don't forget, but it just becomes a wee bit easier.
Yeah.
In terms of this image and this voice, you hear the voice. The third one, basically, and this has been kind of a bit brief, the third video we did on this kind of thing became known as a Gordon Gem, and it was on rituals. It was things like, in simple form, come in from work with your spouse, have a gin and tonic at 6 o'clock at night, talk about your day. They've gone now. Are you still having the gin and tonic, or
are you still doing the things you did?
Are you only doing it because they were there and now it's just you having a gin and tonic your own, feeling very, very sad? The other little aspect to this, before we move on, was that my wife loved her patio. She loved all her potted plants that she kept really nice. And you look at the patio now and it's not that great, I've got to admit. And I feel a tinge of guilt about that. But you start to examine, should I feel guilty about that?
Post-apocalyptic it looks.
Yeah, and you talked about you talked about the crafts, but that went on to say that was Ruth's passion. I helped her when she wasn't ill. I did it all for her. But just ask yourself this: like Craig's wife, my wife loved the bike. We went to 18 countries on the bike over the years, and she loved the motorbike. Some of our best times were spent on the bike, going to places. But if I had died, would she have gone out and cleaned the bike? When she got the bike MOT,
Gone.
The bike would have been sold probably. So I kind of again I analysed that. Would she go and clean the bike? Would she maintain the bike? Probably not. And she used to own one at one time. Probably not. So I salved my conscience with the fact that she probably wouldn't mind that much that I didn't upkeep the patio and the plants just as she would have. So we went into these different areas of grief and sort of examined them. So that's what we did over a period of time.
Yeah, but that what you're talking about, I mean, you get so used to talking to your other half about things. If you're going to go out and buy something, you'll usually sometimes speak to the wife about it. But you have sort of these things in life that you're so used to doing, and it's all of a sudden it's like, I've got no one to turn to here. No one to give me a bollocking because I've spent money or something.
Yeah, I remember my wife saying to me, just do what you want, whatever makes you happy. Sell the house, don't sell the house. Remarry, don't remarry. Just
talking about routines. I used to
happy.
I've been going to St Mirren home games for a long time. Season ticket, love it, and it was almost my escape from everything that's been going on. As long as someone was at home to look after everything. But my wife was mad into football as well. She wasn't really a girly girl. She was a tomboy. Football and racing and all that stuff. She supported a Sheffield Wednesday team. Sheffield
Yorkshire
team.
girl, wasn't she?
She was Yorkshire bird. Aye. She used to hate me saying that. Delete that bird. Anyway, but my routine was every time the half-time whistle went, the first thing I did was pick up the phone and ring Sarah. And we used to moan about our teams. I would phone her, getting beat or whatever, and she would complain about Sheffield Wednesday. She was a diehard. She used to have a season ticket before she met me. And that was, I remember one day, just talking about trying to handle things, I decided to phone her. I knew she wasn't going to answer the phone. But I sat and spoke to her answering machine.
Oh, sheesh.
And this it sounds daft, doesn't it? But this security guard came along and moved me, and I nearly bit his head off because it disturbed my conversation with nobody.
Yeah, you left the Rangers game early.
Aye.
Handle it.
Yeah, but one of these things.
That must be quite consoling. That must be quite nice to have our voice there still, to be able to hear it.
Yes, it's. For months and months and months, I was obsessed with sitting at night and looking at pictures and listening to things or videos and things. It's only really in the past 4 or 5 weeks I've started to come out of that habit. I started counselling not long ago.
Light at the end of the tunnel.
And they've been a great help. I think someone asked about counselling and the questions. I can get into that later on if need be. But there's it's something that's helped me sort of refocus things. But yeah, hearing their voice, looking at pictures, it was becoming a bit of a morbid obsession. And I didn't sleep for 4 months, so it's...
I can see that,
But that day, I thought, I phoned in and I realised what I was doing. I thought, what am I doing here, It's such a hard... It's just rituals. It's something that I did every time that was in the half-time part of the game.
Yeah. And you have guilt as well. Well, I do. Like, you almost have a feeling of guilt for moving on. It's like...
Yeah,
I feel guilty cracking on my life
every day. Yes,
There's an aspect of that, and when people die, they talk about there's guilt, but it comes in different levels. Our situation is so different, although so similar. And just to add in as well, and you'll think I'm making this up, but I'm not. My missus was into bikes. She had a bike. My missus was a bigger football supporter than me. She used to drag me at the football. She was sitting there and daft. We were there every week. Lose or draw. We were there. Lose or draw. We were there.
Lose at the moment.
My son's missed us at Murn. But so we have all these similarities, but the way that our wives passed is very, very different.
Yeah.
And my wife was in a hospice. She was actually in for symptom control when she died. She wasn't expected to die when she did. But we talk about good deaths and bad deaths, and I suppose it was a good death. It wasn't a lingering thing. When she went down pretty quick, and it was, and because we knew she was terminal for months, I was getting one-to-one counselling at the hospice 6 or 7 times before she even died, and then with the same counsellor, I continued post-bereavement counselling. And it became apparent to me one day down at the hospice. Remember, you came down to the hospice. Yeah. It became apparent to me, and it wasn't apparent to me straight away. And this is probably useful for you, Bruce. It hit me in the face that I had been subjected to the gold standard, the 5-star standard of bereavement counselling, without realising it. Because at the end of my counselling, and I decided to end it, my counsellor said to me, "You're so analytical." She said, "I think you could help us here." She said, "I run a bereavement group, and people there have been bereaved for 1 year to 2 years, and they're failing to move on." She said, "I want to introduce you to the group under the auspices of just another bereaved guy, but I'd like you to contribute to the group because of the way this analytical stuff that you're coming out with might help some people." So I went into this group, and there was about 8 or 9 people there. And I heard stories about how they have still had a year on, 2 years on, still having duvet days, can't get out of bed, not back at work yet. And I thought, geez, I'm only 7, 8 months into this, and I'm way, way, way further down the road. I want to digress very quickly, just get this bit in. Mr. Fish, the Mr. Fish has got the channel, train driver. He had a stroke or something, didn't he? He was blinded in one eye. Lost his job as a train driver.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't lose the job. No.
Well, they suspended him. I think he became a station assistant.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he went under OH for quite a while.
Aye. He was on the brush, and he said all these Neds were calling them names, spitting on him, giving him hassle, giving him the next thing. And I believe he had sort of marital issues. His wife walked out at some point as well, but I don't know anything about that. But she did. But the guy went to Rock Zero. He went to Ground Zero. And he went to counselling. And I'm listening to his channel. It just shows you the strength of social media and YouTube. So I'm listening to his channel. This is a few years ago. This is before Ruth is even ill. And he was saying that a psychologist said to him what to do. One of the things you must do is you must get out of bed at a reasonable time in the morning. Open the curtains and let the light in. Make your bed. Have a shower. Get dressed. Go downstairs. Have your breakfast. And then decide what you're going to do that day. And if you can do little tiny, toty little good things or positive things during the day, when you look back at 10 o'clock at night, you've had a reasonably good day.
Yeah, and you've accomplished things.
Yes, small things. So I took that on board, and from day one, I have never had a duvet day. I don't think I've been in bed after 9 a.m. in the morning, because if you stay in bed all day turns into night, night turns into day, you can't sleep, you end up on sleeping pills, maybe antidepressants and all, and then down the cycle you go. Through listening to Mr. Fish, he kind of saved me that aspect of it. And here I was in this bereavement group trying to tell the people in the bereavement group that this was a good thing to try and do. But it's not simple. I mean, they were in tears and all the rest of it. It wasn't very nice. I went a couple of times and I never went back. I just felt I didn't belong there. I had met Craig. We were doing videos. I was part of the clan. I was part of this great community, and my motorbike was saving me as well. And I felt genuine empathy and sympathy for these people. I wanted to hug them, but it was not going to do me any good. That was quite.
You didn't want any regression on your part.
I didn't want to regress, because I'd had a hard time too.
No, that's fair enough.
But that's when it hit me that, and here's the difference it can make to getting counselling, good counselling. That's the difference it made. I'm sitting in front of a bunch of people bereaved a year to 2 years down the road, and we're different. And I think it's because I went to my counsellor that day, because she worked in a different department at the hospice, and I said, I've just realised what's happened here. Without realising it, without knowing it, I've been subjected to the gold standard of pre-bereavement counselling, because we knew she was terminal, and post-bereavement counselling. So I humbly say to anyone out there listening and watching this, get the opportunity to go to counselling, go. It's a big deal, and it's good.
I've got to admit, I'm just the type of person that just I don't know. It's been offered, and in my previous life, I know you were a copper as well, Gordon, in a previous life, and so the things that you deal with in that job, there's counselling available, for you. But it was just, and it still is not something that I think to myself, I can benefit from that. I'm going to go and seek that. So I would always just, no, it's all right. I'll deal with that. I can deal with it. I can deal with it. But it's true. It does. It maybe not the next day, maybe not a week later, maybe not a month later. Years down the line, you start just getting. I get little flashbacks to stuff that you deal with, and it can be a simple thing, like just you can be watching the telly and there's something comes on the telly and it makes you, it reminds you of something that's happened.
A song or something.
A song, jeez. So the old lump goes in the throat and you're like, Christ.
If I remember right, your mum came to stay with you in the last week.
Yeah, she did, yeah. About her last year, maybe 2 years. No, about last year, I think she lived with me in the flat. Yeah, but I never thought she was actually going to pass away.
Yeah.
You know, I just thought she'll get over this. She'd
It's
beaten it
difficult
before.
to accept that step. It's difficult to admit to yourself that this might be a reality. And I think most people's reaction to that is like yourself. Oh no, they'll find a cure. My wife kept saying that for 16 months. I'll get better. They'll find a cure. They'll find something.
See, Mum had fought it for 10 years, and you know she'd got the 5-year all clear at one point, and you know they were like, "Oh, happy days!" But within a year, it had come back. So, and it had come back 2 times before, where she'd gone through treatment and they'd managed to get a hold of it, and we're like, you know, it will kill you eventually, but you know, you're talking 20 years down the line, you're okay.
Yeah.
And then so on this last time, I just didn't think anything was any different, to be honest. And then I remember when it really hit home, she was unwell and had to go into hospital. So we had to call an ambulance to the flat to take her into the hospital. And I remember going with her to the hospital, and she needed to move up the bed, and she didn't want to bother the nurses. So she said, "Could you help me move?" So I said, "Yeah, no problems." And there's my mum, who was a stocky woman. You know, she was 5'6", 5'7". She was a stocky woman. She gave birth to me, and my brother's even bigger than me, you know. So, and I remember I picked my mum up like she was like a little baby. You know, she was just a bag of bones.
Or something. Yeah.
And I just hadn't noticed that. I'd not noticed any of it. And it was like, oh, wow. You know, it was like a sudden realization. But even then I thought, no, she'll bounce back. She'll bounce back.
Because she's done it before.
Yeah. And then she ended up in a hospice, and I think she lasted about 10 days. And it was really only in the last 5 days or so that it was like, oh God, she ain't coming back from this.
Yeah, Sarah went down quickly. She did great up until probably February or March this year.
She died in the house, didn't she? She
had a couple of hospitalisations during her time for various different things, but she went in the hospital because she was struggling to breathe. I says, I want you to go to the hospital. I want you, and she had this pain. It's a long story, but and she went into the RH in Paisley, and I think it was at the end of March or some point like that, and the doctor took me into another room. He says, "You know your wife's going to die, don't you?" And I looked at him, I says, "Oh, what do you mean?" "I know she's got cancer." "No, she'll be lucky if she makes this admission." He says, "And if she makes it through this one, she won't make another one." And that was it. That was me. I could have just been bowled over at that point. And it was the bluntness with which she just said it. She's a very poorly girl, blah, 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 blah. She might not last this week and stuff. And just basically, you know, that was it. That was the world had just caved in at that point. And but she stayed in hospital. She started to recover a wee bit. Her oxygen sats went up, and it was at that point we discovered it had went into her bone marrow because her platelets and everything were down, and we knew it was in her bones in certain points, but that was the reality. And it just seemed to go from March to the end of April. She just went woof, and she started to lose the power in her legs because it was in her spine, and I was like getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and lifting her onto a wheelchair to take her to the toilet and stuff. And I remember one time taking her to the toilet, and I was having to help her do everything, and I looked down her back and I saw big bed sores just at the base of her back, and that was it. I got a fright in my life. That was that was me getting hit with the ultimate reality. It was just seeing something like that just made me think, oh no, you know, that was the
difficult. The punch in the face.
It was the punch in the face, yeah. But she didn't last long after that, and she went down really fast, and passed away at home, which was
quite horrific, wasn't it?
Yeah. We've got a massive long story of failures in NHS and all that stuff. It's horrific. But the district nurses didn't even come out at the end. They refused.
Ambulance drivers swearing to them down the phone.
The paramedic was shouting and swearing at them down the phone. They wouldn't even come out and give her the sedative, so they were just pumping her with morphine. She was let down for 2 years prior to diagnosis, massively, and let down at the very end of her life.
Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that.
No, it's fine. It's just it's something that I think, you know, something that I'm dealing with as well, because I'm in the middle of a big thing just now, a big legal thing just now, and it's difficult to get closure. It's difficult to close off that part of my life because people need to be held to account for massive mistakes that were made.
Yeah, you don't want anyone else to go through that, do you?
This is it. It's nothing to do with money or anything like that, because I'm getting nothing out of this. It's cost me everything, but it's about making.
Tell me about your Pikes Peak.
Oh, I know. Oh, my wife, she last year we came back for holiday and she took some retirement money out. Or retirement. She was only 36, but she was able to cancel her pensions because she got a certificate saying I'm dying. So, and she took money out and bought me a Ducati Pikes Peak, fully loaded with a Kropovich race system on it and everything. 36 grand. And it got delivered in March when she was going downhill.
The Ducati, not you.
Aye, the Ducati, aye. And Ducati, sorry, not to me, aye, to the store, the showroom. But obviously I spoke to Simon and says, look, I'm in the middle of this. And he went, oh, no problem. And then when she passed away, there was no insurance or anything like that. So all my money's been into legal fees and everything else. So I had to cancel it. So between got to look at it in the showroom and
so between the two of us, we've ruined Ducati Glasgow. Because I walked in and I saw this Pikes Peak sitting. This is before I knew Craig, and it said cancelled order on a label. And he was telling me about his Pikes Peak, and I said, I've seen that. It's sitting there with cancelled order. I go in and I buy a Ducati Desert X, the new Traveller one with the boxes and the centre stand and the bigger screen and all that. So I buy that about 3-4 months ago. And oh yeah, you'll have it by the end of July. So then I got a call, it'll be August, and it was September, and then it was, and I was running a Yamaha Tenere at the time, my 700, and I went to the salesman. I said, forget it. I said, give me back my deposit, my £1,000 deposit. So now my bike's sitting up in Ducati with cancelled order on it as well. and they've only got one salesman now. They're Raymond and Simon. Simon's gone, and I think we've ruined Ducati. Ducati Glasgow.
It was a dream bike for me. I just really fancied the Pikes Peak version, the 17-inch front wheel for the handling and everything, and I just loved the look of it. The single-sided swing arm. They gave me a multi-strada to play with for 3 hours. A V4S, and I loved it. But the Pikes Peak was a wee bit more aggressive, slightly different position. And it was only the fact that it was a Pikes Peak that I was able to cancel it at such late notice, because if it was a standard multi-strada I would have been stuck with it. But because the Pikes Peak's made to order, I'd waited 9 months for it. He said, I've got a waiting list the length of my arm for this bike. So he was able to...
So it's gone now then, he's managed to ship it on.
He said he would shift it on, no problem at all.
The reason I ended up in the Picos with the KTM, I probably told you this, because I cancelled the Ducati. That's what was going to come on, this brand new Ducati. So
for folks at home, Gordon just came to Picos with me on the chicken strips thing with myself and Simon.
Yeah. I will come back to that. Anyway, so I think as I said to you in the pub, Bruce, that I noticed the place that I bought the Tenere from.
The pub, you mean the gym? Yeah. The gym every night that we went to. The gym each night at the end of the tour.
The gym, not the pub.
I know the truth.
So the KTM that I'd traded in, the big white 1290 that I was on, so I traded that in for the Tenere, and eventually went back and said, take your Tenere back, I'll have my trade-in back. So I bought my own bike back that I'd had for 3 years before that, which is quite nice in a way, because that was the bike Ruth and I had been on touring and stuff for a couple of years. I had some association. We'd been to Ireland a couple of years before. So yeah, that's how I ended up there, and that's how we ruined Glasgow Ducati, isn't it?
Yeah, we managed to ruin them together, yeah. I was keeping my RT as well. That was going to be my winter hack.
You still got your RT now though, haven't you?
Yes.
What was it you said, Bruce, when I
was just about to mention that. What was that, Bruce?
Tell them about that. On a video saying that.
For most of my biking life, it's been super bikes. That was what good. Fireblades mostly. I had 3 Fireblades. My last bike before the RT was a Hayabusa, and I loved it. And I was a commute to work on the other side of Glasgow, and you know what the M8 motorway is like. And I was riding back and forward in a Hayabusa, and I was got a sore neck because I was always trying to filter through. And I said to my wife, I'm going to get something a bit more comfortable, and ended up with an RT. And I always remember saying to her, I'll never buy one of them. Never have one of them. And the police ride them, and when you buy them, it's all IAM and all that bump. I love it. Absolutely love it.
I tell you how much she loves it. Have you ever, I know you're way down in Kent here, but have you ever heard of a play called He's No a Billy, I'm a Tim? You ever heard that play?
No.
Rangers
Celtic thing.
It's the old firm game. Rangers are playing Celtic, and a Celtic support and a Rangers support get arrested at the game, and they're stuck in the same cell together.
It's good fun. And
they're like, what, and it's called He's No a Billy, I'm a Tim. Anyway, we went to see it last Friday night, and when it was really good, by the way, really, really good. When we come out at the end, we went to the pub, And just to back up what Craig's saying, I said to him in the pub, I says, if I gave you £25,000 right now, what bike would you go and buy? And he come back and he said, I'll get another RT. So there you go.
I've ridden, listen,
Wow.
it goes to Motorrad in Glasgow for servicing, so I've had a 900 XR.
Uh-huh.
I've had a GSA 1250 trophy.
Mm-hmm.
I've had another RT. And I got on the 1250 GS and I thought, this is going to kill me. I'm going to want to buy this. And I rode it and I loved it. I had it for about 5 hours that day before I went back up to get my bike. And I got back on my bike and I said, nah, I'm sticking with my RT.
There you go.
So the only thing I would say about the GS was it was more comfortable.
What about the time?
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
GS?
Oh,
Well,
right, interesting.
The pegs in the GS, see the angle of your legs was much more relaxed in the GS, whereas the RT, the pegs are a bit higher.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
So I don't mean more comfortable as in the seat, because the seat in the RT is fantastic, but the actual sort of angle between your hips, your knees and your feet and the RT is much more extreme than it is in the GS, which fits me. I'm only 5'10", so it works for me, but Gordon couldn't go on my bike. It'd be crippled.
You know my hips.
I wouldn't be able to get back off it again.
I spent more time standing up in the peak course than I did sitting down. I've got really bad legs.
And that was a low RT. That was one that was already low. It was a low version with a low seat, because as I say, I'm only a short arse. But I mean, not the RT, sorry, the GS. I did love it, but not enough to swap. And I've always wanted a GS as well.
I've just been out on the 1300 GSA today.
Gordon's got a hankering for one of them.
What we thinking?
It's a special bike, man. It is a really special bike.
It's really dividing opinion, though, isn't it? I mean, there's people out there that are absolutely.
I think it's dividing opinion for those that haven't seen it in the flesh, I think. I mean, I was one of them on the launch. When I saw the pictures at the launch, I hated that thing. I thought, what have BMW done? I thought, you've killed the brand, the GS brand. It's fucked now with this. And then the next day, I just saw, there was a picture of a certain angle, and I saw it and I thought, oh, I quite like that. And then every day there was just a different picture coming through, and I'd be like, oh, I quite like that. Well, I think I'm liking this. And then I saw it in the flesh at my local showroom about a month or so ago, and I sat on it, and I was just, oh wow, this is what a GS should feel like, massive, big bike.
That's
so they
what
gave me it today when my bike was getting the decat headers fitted.
Yep.
So they gave me the GSA for a couple of hours, and I will say, I'll spoil the vid. I'm doing a vid on it anyway. I'll spoil the vid. I prefer my bike, but only now because I've put the decat headers on my bike, and I've put, I've put different foot pegs on there. I've spent a lot of money on my bike.
You've done a lot of work.
You switched off the anti-wheelie and all that, and
that made a huge difference because it was it was too refined. It's just the new GS, the 1300 GS and the GSA, if you just leave it standard, so whack it in Dynamic Pro, but don't fiddle about with anything, it's still too refined. It's fast. It's fast as...
they're good engines. They're good engines.
But it doesn't, I have the saying, it doesn't tickle the danglies, no. You turn anti-wheelie off, and all of a sudden it starts. You can literally lift the front on the throttle, no problem, and you can have fun with the thing. Yeah. It's not quite a KTM, I'll give it that. It's not a KTM.
I struggled to keep up with you that day, so
you were doing all right. Every time I turned around, you were stood up.
I know.
You're still there with me.
I was getting in corners, overtaking people. Stood up.
I know.
80% of the video I've got, Gordon is standing in the bike. I've got decat headers on my bike.
Have you on the RT?
Aye. It went in for an MOT and it come back out. The wee flapper valve you get on the BMers.
Yeah.
And he says, oh, it's sticky. And the guy says, look, it's going to cost you 1,200 quid. I says, no thanks. And I bought, it was Black Widow, I think. I fitted them myself and delighted. I bought a wee defeat device, that goes into the ECU. And
the solenoid thing, yeah.
Big difference in sound.
Aye, yeah.
It sounds like an animal. It looks like a twat, but it sounds like an animal.
Tell Bruce about the video you made keeping up with the sports bike up north.
On
the channel. Yeah, you can say it.
I was in the NC 500, my friend and I.
Second time you went.
The second time I went.
Like you going around the world, they had a second bite at it.
And we got overtaken by a Panigale and a Jigsaw 1000, as if we weren't moving. And I'm a competitive arsehole, I really am. And I'm looking at, I've got my bike loaded to the gunnels, you know, panniers are full. I've got an overlander, a lone rider overlander in the back, my tent, tripods for my camera, everything. I decided to chase him, didn't I? And I quite kept up with him. I was proud of myself. In fact, he slowed me down in the bends. Now, there's a couple of theories in this. I thought
He came for Kent.
aye, this guy must be some. He was just, and I thought, why am I slowing down behind this guy on the bench? He's riding a Jigsaw 1000. He should be leaving me for dead. I mean, he should have offski. But it was a 10 minutes of madness. But the RT made
There's a video.
It did me proud. I'll tell you, it did me proud.
Makes you fall in love with your bike all over again.
An old man's bike,
does
as
you
everybody
proud.
says, or what is it you said? Your life's over when you ride an RT or something like that.
I'm only taking the piss. You know I'm only taking the piss.
And I can
I know.
It's quick, you know, that right?
Aye, it's a quick bike, yeah. Well, it's the same engine as the GS.
This Boxer, aye.
I'm not just saying this to blow smoke up his backside, right? But you think I can ride a bike? He can ride a bike. He can ride a bike.
The RT can surprise people, I think. It's,
oh, yeah.
And it handles like it shouldn't. Now, the GS has got a 19-inch front wheel, hasn't it? Or is it bigger?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is 19, yeah.
The RT obviously has got the 17-inch front wheel, so it flings from side to side like you wouldn't believe. You've ridden an RT, you must know how well they handle.
Yeah, I did my my police course on it.
Aye,
that's what
great.
we had.
It's no wonder the police use them. But yeah, I think it probably surprises people. I think it surprised the Jigsaw rider that day.
It's me. Remember that time up the Braes you went past me? You I've just stuck it in dynamic.
It's like,
It's a sofa shouldn't go that quick, should it?
No.
oh, it's when you start scraping bits of the bike on the ground, you know, and things like that, it's you know you're pushing it a wee bit. I've pushed my luck a few
Hooligans.
times. Aye.
I don't know if you've ever watched any of the videos we're in together. There was ones because Craig's got loads and loads when he's on his own and he's vlogging going to work, but the ones that we do together.
That's because I can't afford to go to P-Cross.
The way Craig edits it, it's like 10-15 minutes of us biking together on comms. We both get Senna. I had to invest in Cardo to come to Spain.
That was my fault.
We both get Senna. That wasn't your fault. And we're blabbing away and we do sort of, it's probably an hour or something, but it's edited down to 10-15 minutes. So all these videos are 10-15 minutes of biking. Then we usually end up here. It's not always here. End up here. I'm talking about rituals or Phantom Roof Sensation or something, and that's the way it's edited. And then the last 10 minutes of the video,
Back out on the bike.
back out on the road, and that's the format of the videos: bike, serious chat, bike.
Gotcha.
But the ones that we're in together anyway. And then we've got
Mine's are usually just me moaning about things.
a podcast as well. We did as well.
I've been watching your podcast.
Well, I'm supposed to have a podcast coming out on Sunday, and
He's got his finger in so many pies, it's unbelievable.
I'm absolutely frazzled. I'm doing podcasts for another group that's to do with tourism, and we were away doing a paranormal investigation.
Ooh. In a pub in Paisley.
When I said we were doing a paranormal investigation, I was filming it. And this pub in Paisley has been there for over 100 years, and apparently there's ghosts in it. The punters have complained of ghosts, the bar, the owner and everything. So somebody said to me, by 10 o'clock at night they're going to shut the pub early. And so I said to the guy that was organising, I says, I'll give you a wee camera, a wee Nikon camera, I'll put a wee mic on it, and you can do a wee sort of vlog thing. You know, the most haunted, try and make it exciting. So I'm going about with a big camera on my gimbal, knackered. 4 hours we were there. 20 to 2 in the morning before I left the place. I've got 8 hours worth of video to edit or decipher, more to speak.
Did anything happen?
Noises.
Oh, aye.
Back or something, didn't you?
Lots of noises. It's all on camera. Words, noises, mumbo jumbo stuff that was a bit freaky and that.
Somebody touched
As if somebody went like that with their finger down my back, and I thought, I'm standing there because I was just filming happily, and I was in the corner of this basement, and I turned around and I looked, and they saw me moving about because I had a light. So as soon as the light turned away, they looked up at me as if to say, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "There must be a wire dangling down there or something because something's rubbed off my back." And right away they're like, "Oh, nah." I'm a skeptic. I'm not going to lie. I'm a skeptic. And there's a room in there. How did we get onto this subject? There's a room in there that's
all the fingers you've got in pies.
aye that no one will go into. So me being the skeptic twat that I am, I thought, I'm getting in there, camera on, switched the light off, and I stood in the dark and I says, right, bring it on. Prove me wrong. but I was only there about 30 seconds. I shat myself and went back out again. Not much a skeptic. There was too many noises going on for me to nah. So
the voices. I mean,
I let Gordon hear about it. But anyway, how did we go on? So we were talking about podcasts. So I'm supposed to do my own podcast, but I've not had a chance to do it because I'm spending all my time doing the podcast for the tourism company, for other bits and bobs, other projects. I've got music stuff to do. We're doing a charity song for the Beats and Cancer charity in St Vincent's Hospice. I'm working on that now. That's been a year in the planning, dealing with licenses and dealing with NHS and getting permission to film in the hospital and all that stuff. So I'm hoping that when we release this song that in the video that it's going to raise some decent money. So that's a massive project. And the thing is, I'm doing it all myself. I've got some people to help. We're in my wee studio here, so we've got my keyboards and stuff. So I need to record all that, get that down onto audio, and then I need to film it, and I need to film a choir. We've got a big choir involved with it. We've got a school choir involved with it. We've got three lead singers, and then I've got to film it all, and then do drone footage at the hospital. And
it's a live aid.
Figure out how to put this together. So my brain's about done. So my podcast's not going out on Sunday. Because I've not had a chance to do one.
You've got a lot.
Can't find the time and I'm sitting in my bed at night editing. I'm getting up in the morning and editing. I'm taking my laptop into work and editing when I'm in my lunch break.
Yeah.
You'll know how that feels.
Says you in your lunch break. What's for Glasgow City Council? I think he's in the office doing it actually, but
I do work sometimes.
I look back now and think, how the heck did I ever manage to get any videos out when I was working full time? Because I'm doing this full time now, and I think I'm probably further behind. Well, I am. I'm further behind with my editing now than I was when I used to have a full time job. And it's just, I don't know how I did it before.
No, it's amazing.
You're constant on the go though. The problem with what you're doing now is you're away on the tours all the time, isn't it? So your time to catch up and editing is practically impossible at times, I would imagine.
Because one tour, a week-long tour, you're looking at probably a minimum of 4 vids, minimum 4 vids out of that. Yeah, and...
This'll make you sick. Sorry. TMF just put one out today or yesterday. He named it just a catch-up.
I watched that,
GS 1200. And I think he posted it out the same night.
Because he only uses one camera and it's an easy edit.
See your brew times like this. How long does it take for this to come out? Just about a week or something, or
Normally,
a few days.
We'll do this today, obviously Friday, and then it'll be out on Wednesday.
Okay.
Right.
I wasn't sure.
I like the format. I like that. These probably take about, for a 3-hour vid, that will probably take 5 to 7 hours to edit because you have to listen to the whole podcast to
That's
make
the
sure,
problem with the podcast,
just to make sure
any audio, any just things that happen in the audio. Sometimes you need to try and
tweak here and there,
tweak bits of audio, and then obviously I go through the whole thing and I cut out chunks to use as teasers for shorts and all that. Yeah, and you got to normalize audio between us and.
The big issue I've got with the podcast that I'm doing with the tourist company is I'm using the 4 cameras, and it's almost like having to go through it 4 times because they've got so we've usually got there's 4 people in the podcast and there'll be a guest, and there's usually a guest every week, and these are weekly episodes. So we've got a wide camera, we've got a camera and 2 different people, and there's always a camera and the guest with a nice wide lens on it. A nice. Shallow
depth of field.
You've had the
provost, our Renfrewshire provost, she was in.
As a guest.
We had her singing.
Did you?
Aye, making an ass ourselves, we really do. But so that's half the battle. It's having all the different camera angles and then trying to. It's just a killer. But I think it's good. It's good fun and it's good practice.
Yeah, you're a busy boy.
As long as I don't sacrifice my own things, that's my big issue at the moment.
Aye.
And I said
gents,
that to the guy.
Shall we tackle some questions?
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
loads of questions for us to get through.
Because we could get up here all night. You have to think of us. It's a
How long have you got, by the way?
We've got in it.
There is one thing, and we can talk about it later. It was something I was saving up for this. There was I'll go with it now. Can I go with it now? It's a wee bit of a story.
I'll go to the fridge while we're talking.
Right, you do that then. Whenever I say this to people, I also have to front it up with, you are going to think I am telling a lie, right? Everybody thinks you're telling a porky. But I swear from my son's life, what I'm about to tell you is absolutely true. And it is the most amazing, amazing coincidence that happened to me one day. And it's like 1,000,000 to 1 chance, right? So, you know, because you know me, right? You know that most of my time has been spent, there was like 9 years in the old bill, but most of my time is spent fitting artificial limbs.
Yep.
Right? So the short version of this story is that I was working in Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital in Stanmore, North London, and I was doing prosthetic limbs. And I worked with 6 other guys. And in those days, the prosthetic industry was really well paid. You didn't work for the NHS. You were subcontracted from a private company. And there was only 2 companies, so it was a binopoly. So we had government contracts. Didn't have to be lean and fit. You just spent what you wanted, gave people what they wanted in salaries. And it was, you get paid a fortune, if I can just put it that way, right? So Lord McCall in the House of Lords decides to do an investigation in the industry to say this is costing too much and the standards aren't very good. We need to introduce some more competition. So they encourage guys who work together as artificial limb fitters or prosthetists, not prostitutes, but prosthetists, to set up their own companies, a bit like dental practices. And then when they were bidding for contracts in Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds, whatever it was, they would win the contract by being cheaper than the next guy. So their profits are less, so they can pay their people less. And nowadays, back in 1983, I was on the equivalent of 100 grand a year, and now as a prosthetist you would get paid the same as a physio, a decent salary, but you know, not the money that we used to be on, because this Lord McCall broke it up, brought in all this competition. So the guys I was working with in London decided they were going to put a company together and they were going to bid for contracts. They all went to the bank. They'd lived in London for years. This is a long time ago. They all borrowed about 50 grand each, equity in their houses, which was a lot of money then, to set up the company. I'd only been in London about 18 months. I didn't have any equity in my house. So they said to me, look, if we win some contracts, we'll employ you. I said, right, fair enough. So they go off, they bid for contracts, they get contracts in Luton, Wolverhampton and Cambridge. Now, I was living in Bedfordshire at the time, near Luton. And he says to me, do you want to come and work for us at the Luton Dunstable Hospital? And I said, yeah, absolutely. Why not? So I went and I worked with them for 6 months at Luton Dunstable Hospital. This is 1993. And there was a patient that I had there, and it was a young black kid. He was about 15 years of age, and he had an above-knee artificial limb. And I saw him one day, years after he'd got his limb, and he'd put weight on, and he needed a new socket, he needed a new limb made. So I made him a new limb. And the story in his file was that his brother, who was a drug dealer, had inadvertently shot his brother in the leg and caused him to lose his leg. So this 15-year-old kid, his brother shot him in the leg and he lost his leg. So I fit him with an artificial limb. 6 months after that, I leave prosthetics to go into the police. Right. I was in the police down there about 4.5 years or something like that. 3 years in, I'm out in the car, I'm on my own, covering the beat as you do, driving around, call on the radio. That's a massive brawl in the street, 10 o'clock at night in a certain location, my area. Losing twos, off you go, round the corner, Zulu Dawn in front of you, right? There's people getting bottles going everywhere and everybody getting weighed in. So normally I was notorious for just steaming in and getting a row for it, but I looked at this and I thought, I'm going to get some backup here. so it was Saturday night, so the van crews were out. So in a couple of seconds you hear the blues and twos coming, the cavalry coming over the hill. So as I'm sitting there kind of going, well, what will I do? I see Man A wearing yellow trousers, pick up a bottle and scone a guy over the head with a bottle. And I went, well, you're getting nicked because I've just seen you do that, you know. So when the cavalry arrive, I jump out of the car, I grab this kid, put him in the back of the car, try to get an ambulance for the guy who's been hit over the head with a bottle, but he's disappeared. I don't even know where he's gone. So I've got this kid in the back of the car, say a kid, he was about 20. Get him back to the Nick. By the time I get back to the Nick, the custody sergeant's going, all the search rooms are full, the cells are full, take that guy into the doctor's room and search him and bag up his property, and once you've done it, bring it back. So I take this guy into the doctor's room and I'm certain I'm padding him down. I'm going down his leg and I go, have you got a prosthetic limb? And he goes, yeah. I looks up and I go, Danny. And he goes, Gordon, It was the same guy I made an artificial limb for.
Really?
Nobody believes it. I arrested a guy that I made an artificial leg for. Now, you can understand why everybody goes like, "I rubber you, that never happened." Definitely not. I'm telling you, million to one chance.
I was just going to say, what's the chances of that?
That is my big coincidence. Have I ever told you that?
No, I was just thinking when you went into the brawl, did you give them a chance to get a ladder? But
so there you go. That's the huge coincidence that happened to me in my lifetime. I arrested a guy I made a limb for.
I've just realised you lads are. I've just dropped it. You lads are wearing poppies. I've got a poppy here, and I haven't put it on yet. Hang on, and I've just dropped the pin. I had a pin in it.
I couldn't find mine. I've been rescued.
I've
got it, but I can't. I just dropped the pin, and I can't see.
I wouldn't worry about it.
In my beard.
There you go.
The thought was there.
My wife went out specifically to get one of them for me.
Brian will be watching. Brian will be watching.
He will be. Right, let's get on with these questions. So we'll head over to the clan over on Patreon. So it's patreon.com/TeapotOne. First one, Biker Buddy Lee. Hi to all. Hope life is good or as good as it can be. Firstly, sorry for your loss. And as someone who lost their daughter, I can relate to the effects of grief and how not to deal with it. But more importantly, how to deal with it. Gee, sorry, Lee, mate, I had no idea. So my question is, what's the first thing you would say to someone who is lost in grief? I'll definitely have a look at your channel. Stay safe, all the best, live your life. Wow.
First I've got some ideas, but...
That's quite a difficult question, actually.
God,
first thing, I mean, because obviously losing a child is not something that you ever imagine. I mean, I've got a daughter who's just lost her partner. I know. That's another story. I can't imagine losing your child because no one should ever outlive their child. That's a whole different type of grief. It's all very different, isn't it? Yeah. But for me, I'm just trying to live on in my wife's memory. I'm just trying to do what I think she would want me to do. I didn't know how to deal with it. So if I was bumping into someone that was grieving or just lost someone, I would probably tell them to face it head on. I would probably. It's one of these things that Gordon had hit on earlier on. You can't really avoid. You can't just close it off and talk to people, talk to friends, talk to family, talk to anybody. That's the biggest thing that's got me through. You know, I've only started counselling. It was my OH department at work. Local government, you know, they've got a big OH department. They got me into counselling, and I'm in group sessions with the bereavement counselling team at the charity, the Beeching Cancer Charity, and that's been interesting. But I mean, I'm 5 months down the line before I even started that, because up until then I say I'm not going to counselling, I'm not doing this. But the biggest thing for me was talking. Trying to just keep it in and bottle up was crippling. So my initial reaction to somebody that's suffering from grief is talk to someone, even if it's a stranger. Sometimes a stranger can be better. Someone that someone else that's lost someone, you know, it doesn't have to be a family member, but yeah, talk, share, get it out your system, speak about anything, rant, rave. You've got to deal with it, you've got to face it, because if you don't, it's going to come back and bite you in the arse at some point later down the line.
I've got three things on this. You know about this. Just a slight digression. About 4 days ago, you maybe end up watching this. Someone who I haven't spoken to for 40 years. I got a text from a guy who used to ride with 40 years ago when they were teenagers. I knew his brother better, actually. He was the big brother, but you know, I knew the guy. And I knew about a month or so back that his wife was terminal with cancer. She had a brain tumour. And out of the blue, I've got the text on my phone. This guy's somehow got my phone number and come through and says, Gordon, I won't mention names, I've lost my wife. I know about your situation and I've found the channel. I said, how did you find the channel? He says, I just searched grief and stuff. And he came up with... And this is a guy that doesn't live very far from me, in a decade since I've spoken to him. And he said, I would like to meet up with you guys. So I went back and I said, and we made an arrangement to go to the pub in Bishopton on Thursday night.
That's right, yeah.
He came back to me and says, in hindsight, Gordon, I don't feel ready for this. I said, listen, if it makes it easier, why don't you just come up the house and have a coffee? You know where I live. Or I give you the address. He maybe didn't want to go into a pub environment. He only lost his wife 6 weeks ago. And he said, perhaps in a few weeks. Now, I'm not going to give up on this bloke, right? That's what we are here for this guy. He's a biker, by the way. He's got four or five bikes, this guy. He's a big biker, this guy. And he's just lost his wife. And that's what we're here for. I might end up going round his house or something. But in answer to the chap who's asked the question, number one, as Craig says, talk to somebody, face your grief. And if that means a counsellor, go to a counsellor. But if it means a stranger or a friend down the pub, talk to someone. Second thing is, and I don't remember who told me about this, never refuse an invitation. And along with, so the third one is get out of bed in the morning, let the light in, make the bed, have the shower. So that's the third one, which I took the advice of. Other one I can't remember who told me, but they said never refuse an invitation. This chap's refused an invitation, and I completely understand that he's not ready and he's in grief and he's probably in a very bad place. But if you get people standing there ready to help you, hard as it is, take it.
Embrace it, yeah.
So, counselling, don't refuse an invitation, and if you can, get up and let the light in the morning, because you'll just end up turning night into day and day into night, and that's... So that'd be my three pieces of advice.
I can't imagine what it's like to lose a child, but I mean, I lost my brother in 1989, so my mum's lived that horrible journey, and obviously my mother and father-in-law still live in my flat, but they eventually stayed there to help with things, and obviously they've lost their daughter, and you know, it's an unimaginable scenario, but yeah, that would be, you know, speak, talk, share. I don't obviously we're not counsellors, far from it, but that's the thing that's made me get, and as Gordon says, the biggest thing for me was forcing myself to put my feet in the ground, sit at the end of the bed and get up every morning.
The longest part,
not easy. It's never easy. You'll know that. You've been there.
The longest part of that journey is putting your feet on the carpet. Once you've sat up and put your feet in the carpet, you're pretty much there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I know that was a bit of a long-winded answer, but it's...
No, mate, Christ, you know, they deserve long-winded answers. They deserve it, for sure.
Yeah. That's just
Lee, mate, I'm so sorry, pal. I had no idea about any of that. You got my number.
My heart goes out. It really does.
You know this chap, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, Lee's been on the podcast, yeah. He's got a channel called Buddy the Biker Dog. He's got a little...
That's Lee.
Yes.
I was out on a bike ride 6 weeks ago. Not even, 4 weeks ago. Rest and be thankful. You know the rest and be thankful. Yeah. Pulled in there for a coffee and a wee rest and be thankful. Who pulls up but a guy in a motorbike with a wee dog hanging out at the top of the tank bag, which I've seen before. I've seen a German guy do this with his wee dog with a wee Biggles cap and all that in the goggles.
Yeah, there's a few of them, yeah.
So I went over and I spoke to him and I said, you've got a channel? Because I think I've vaguely seen this.
Yeah.
And he told me, and so that's the guy you're talking about.
And that was Lee?
I've met him. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, met him. 6 weeks ago, the rest and be thankful. There you go.
Mate, isn't that weird the way life works out like that, in that your paths have crossed?
Yeah. It's such a community. It's such a community. It's amazing. Wow. It's not as a big coincidence as arresting a guy that you've made an artificial leg for, but it's a coincidence.
I have to say, a lot of people that aren't bikers, as you can imagine, have a particular view of bikers.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But this community I mean, I'm small fry, obviously, but the amount of people in there that are fellow bikers and stuff, and the stuff that they've come up, the supportive comments and the things that they've made is amazing. I've no idea how humbling it is to me, the support that I've had from these blokes. Yeah. And as I say, people are so down, big burly bikers. It's nothing like that at all. These guys are amazing.
It blows me away. The clan that I've got through Patreon and stuff, it just blows me away.
Amazing
community spirit that is there, and just the warmth that everybody has for each other is phenomenal. There's Gordon, you've come along to some of the you came along to the Dundee clan meet. Yeah. There's people from every walk of life there, every sex, every social class, every background.
Everything.
And they're all there, 4 bikes.
Amazing.
And you know
It's
them
just
all.
blows
I
my
only
mind
know a
away.
few. I mean, I'm involved obviously in the group chat from the Pecos, 15 guys. I know the likes of to Bob Rocket. I know Dale now, Mr. Funny Man Dale.
Dale,
Cracks
he's
me up.
brilliant, isn't
He cracks me up.
I love him.
But you know the whole scene. You're going to all. You started it. You're the chief of the clan, so you know them all. And I only know a few. But yeah, I think it's absolutely marvelous. Just absolutely
Terrible
marvelous.
with names. I am terrible with names. I have
So
to.
am I. If it's
I
any
have to-
consolation.
I've got to meet people like 4, 5, 6 times and really drill the. I have to make a conscious effort of drilling the
You
name
do
into
well.
my
I
head.
think you do well.
I've got
We're getting there.
145 staff in my department of work, and see, try to remember all their names. It took me years.
Yeah, pretty bad for that as well.
Right, Lee. Wow, pal. Just you've heard the advice from the boys there. Talk with someone. Anyone. I'll drop you a wee message anyway, pal. Just
Yeah, my
thank you
heart
for
goes
your
out to
question.
him. It's
Don't refuse invitations. Get out if you can. Don't
There you
sit
go.
in.
Yeah, that's it. Next one, Andy. How you doing, Andy? Evening, gentlemen. Hope this finds you well. I have a couple of questions, if I may. But firstly, let me say thank you for using your own journey to help each other and beyond.
Oh, that's nice.
First question. What support do you reach out for to help you ensure that you are both healthy and giving the best possible guidance? Yeah, what support do you reach out for?
I read this question. I haven't seen all the questions, but I remember reading this one. And what I took away from that was the chaps, I don't know if he's suggesting this or not, I'm not going to speak for him, but what I took from that is we are sitting here with a channel, we're talking to bereaved people. Not what gives us the right to do that, but I think what he's angling at is perhaps you two are completely off your nut, right? You're complete alcoholics, you're using drugs to get over this, and here you are espousing sort of advice to people. And I think that's what he's saying, is he's saying, what checks and balances have you got to make sure that you are giving sound advice to others? Because you can be sitting here a pair of nutters.
Well, it's true though, isn't it? It is true.
Absolutely,
it is true, isn't it? Yeah.
To be honest, my take on it is simple. When I started this channel, I didn't set out to give advice. I set out to connect, not to try and tell people how to deal with grief or anything. I was basically telling my story to show how I was dealing with it.
Aye.
And if that resonated with someone out there, then great, brilliant. Maybe they can find their own tool. Now, for me, it was bikes. Even though I'm a musician, you'd have thought it would be music because I've been doing that since I was single figures. But no, it was motorbikes for me. What I've done since then is I have embarked in counselling. I'm sitting in a room with another 8 people that have lost their husbands, wives, partners, and we are talking through stuff. We are getting expert guidance on. It's not like you see in the television where you sit, my name is Craig and I lost my wife and blah, blah, blah. It's nothing like that at all. You don't have to even speak if you don't want to. But the stuff that they go through is how grief really is, not how grief is perceived. A lot of people think that, have you heard of the 5 stages of grief? A lot of rubbish.
I think I've heard of it, but I couldn't name them.
So no, it's a lot of rubbish. It's just nonsense because it was done to someone. The 5 stages of grief came from someone in the 60s that was looking at people that were terminally ill. And it was how that person, that patient. Now, what's happened is that's been cottoned on by certain people throughout the years or the decades, and they've used that as a guidance for people that are grieving. It doesn't work like that. Grief isn't linear. It's more like the best way I can describe it is you take a crane, a bit of paper, and go like that, scribble it all over the place. That's what it's like. That's the sort of perception. And the other
Ups
thing,
and downs, good and bad, isn't it?
They're talking about is grief. The other thing you'll hear people saying is you'll move on. The grief will go away. No, it doesn't. No. The grief, if you imagine, this was a wee analogy that they used. They used 3 jars, and in each jar there was a big heart, and that heart represented your grief. And in each jar, the heart got smaller. They said that's not really representative of how grief is. So what they did was they showed another slide, and this time the heart was the same size, but the jar grew around it. And it's about time is not a healer. What time is it allows us to grow as a person. It allows us to grow our life and live differently and maybe make more space for other things in our life. Although the grief's still there, it's still the same size and it's always going to be there, but you're getting bigger around it, and that's a big thing. So never set out to give guidance. That was never a plan. I'm not qualified to give guidance, and I don't want to give guidance. All I can do is tell people what my story is, how I've dealt with it, how Gordon's dealt with it, and if any of it helps someone or gives someone an idea of how they might be able to deal with it on their own, whether that's finding a tool to help them focus, be it motorbikes, be it crafting, be it music, anything. And the biggest thing I would say is I was anti-counselling, but the counselling, I think, is going to be a big benefit to me. I'm in an 8-week programme, and so far, even two sessions down, we're draining. I'm not going to lie. Absolutely draining. Come out of it feeling but I think it's going to benefit me. I'm fairly confident it's going to benefit me. But yeah, that's how I've been dealing with it. I don't smoke, I don't take drugs, I'm not interested in any of that stuff. I've not used anything to help me through this. I'm not going to lie, I'm on antidepressants. I have been for a couple of years. Very small dose, and I've got some meds to help me with anxiety. But that sort of developed because I wasn't sleeping at night. I was up through the night helping my wife. I was rubbing Voltarol on her legs and massaging her legs and moving her, and I spent hours every night doing this, and then I was getting up at 6 o'clock to go to work. That had a traumatic effect on me, and I found that difficult to deal with. So anxiety was a big part of, but I spoke to my GP, I spoke to the specialist, the best person that was in a position to give me advice and help me. And that's what I did. And now I'm getting counselling. So, Gordon, what do you think?
Well, a couple of things. So I've been suffering a bit of atrial fibrillation. I'm on beta blockers.
I'm in beta blockers for different reasons.
The funny thing is, get a bit controversial here. My atrial fibrillation started after the flipping AstraZeneca vaccine, right? And I noticed that I only actually ever got an attack of it, and it's quite bad at the time. If I drank too much, obviously drinking every day or anything like that, but if I drank too much. And it got to the point, if I knocked it on the head, I mean, I would only go to the pub every 3 weeks or something. I wasn't in the pub that often, but if I had to stop at 4 or 5 pints, if I had any more than that, I was going to get an attack.
I'd be floored.
Yeah. So,
4 or 5 pints?
This is once every 3 weeks with a couple of pals. This is not every week or every day. And then it came down. I remember one night I had 2 tins of lager. This is my wife wasn't well. She was in the hospice actually at the time. I had two cans of lager and I got an AF attack. And then one day I get really freaked out at an AF attack without even drinking anything. So I was on non-alcoholic beer for a year. Plus the fact my wife had to get rushed to hospital one night. The ambulance never came and I had to drive her up to hospital. I wasn't drunk, but I was over the limit. And you did an accident emergency. There's a lot of police kick about up there, and I had to move the car. And I just remember thinking, if I get away with this tonight, I'm not touching her drop, because I never know when she's going to be early enough that I'm going to have to horse her up to hospital at 12 o'clock at night or 2 o'clock in the morning. So I never drank at all for about a year. And since my wife's passed away, and I've been to see, I actually went private to get some advice. Do you know, I went in to see the cardiologist in a private clinic. And I said to him, I'm suffering from atrial fibrillation. He says, so am I. He had it as well.
It's so common. I had it. I had it.
Atrial fibrillation. So it's, but anyway, mine's almost disappeared. I take 5 milligrams of the beta blocker every day. I'm back drinking, not loads. I will knock it in the head about at 4 pints or something like that. I will knock it in the head. But I'm back being able to do that. And I'm relating this to the fact that not only did I have AF, when my wife wasn't well, just like Craig, I'm not joking, Bruce, I was up 3 times a night.
It was brutal.
She used to get temperatures. Sometimes we slept together, sometimes I slept through another bed, depending on whatever she wanted. And she suffered these temperature spikes and I had to get paracetamol into her. So it was a case of changing the bedding, the pillowcases, the bedclothes, the pyjamas. I'm not joking, I set an alarm. Don't ask me why it was. I can still remember 22, 25 and 27. I set alarms for to get up to make sure her temperature wasn't going way up, because the time that it did, and it went to 42 degrees, she had sepsis. She started, she couldn't remember her address, couldn't remember her name, and we didn't want that to happen again. So I was checking in 3 times a night to make sure and take, the tympanic thermometer in the ear and all that, to get paracetamol into her before it sort of got bad.
Yeah.
So, another thing in common, it's a roller coaster. It's a.
Do you know what I'll never forget? And it was quite funny. It was the just dozing off to sleep. Me just dozing off to sleep. And I get the, darling, I need to pee. No. There was a whole rigmarole of lifting her out of the bed and putting her on a wheelchair and wheeling her through to the bathroom and sitting on the toilet and for God's sake. Anyway, do you know what? Privilege in my life.
Yeah. We developed a system where
to be able to look after her like that was an absolute privilege.
A lot of time, as I say, we slept together. If she was feeling, she was on this mattress. I was lying in a double bed here, and she was up here. I was lying in a trench. But sometimes we decided it'd be best if I slept in the other bed, and we developed a system that I was sleeping so light that if my phone pinged with a text, it would wake me up, and she would text me. And we developed this really stupid thing. If it said help, she really wasn't feeling well. Something was wrong. But it was spelled HELIP, help. It was just, I need a change of pyjamas, I need to go to the toilet. And I could look at that and go, all right, I'm going through, but it's nothing terrible, We're getting into the nitty-gritty here, but it's just a shit.
I think in summary to the...
it's just a horrible time.
In summary to the question is that I don't give guidance. It's not something that I would think.
We have experience.
It's a shared experience, isn't it?
It's just... And that's all it's about. I have been seeking professional help, and I'm getting it just now, and that's helping me. Gordon's obviously been through he had counselling through a different thing altogether. That was before we even knew each other. But the channel is not here to give guidance, definitely not. But it's to share my experience, and if that experience can help anyone in any way at all, then great. But we're certainly not here to give guidance or tell anybody how.
But then again, if somebody says to you,
ask me a question, I'll give them my experience on a particular subject.
What did you find help?
Yes. Of course, that's it. That's it.
This leads nicely on to the second question. He says, "What would you hope that your journey is remembered for in years to come?"
I said to Sarah that I want to dedicate my life to helping other people. That's all. That's it. Nothing else. I want to help people deal with PTSD, mental health. I don't know how to yet. I've no idea. I've no idea whatsoever what I'm doing. I am making this up as I go along. But one thing that after the trauma and what I've been through is I want to be remembered for helping someone, anyone. If that stops them from committing suicide, if it stops them from drinking too much alcohol, if it does anything to help them deal with their grief or their mental health issues, then that's what I want to do in my life, and that's what I want to be remembered for. Is witnessing what I witnessed has changed my entire perception of what life is all about for me. And that's what it's all about for me now. Is I want to be remembered for being the guy that was devastated from losing his wife and then dedicated the rest of it to making or to helping other people deal with it. That's it.
Fair play, Paul.
What was it? What was the question? Read the question again, if you don't mind.
What would you hope that journey is remembered for in years to come?
So I'm going to answer that in a completely different way to you. You're very altruistic, helping people, which is part of what we do.
We've spoken about that before, haven't we?
There's mine is a bit more of a selfish answer, perhaps. Through adversity, you learn things. You learn things about yourself. So looking back, and of course, my journey's not over. I'm getting a bit better, but I'll never be over the death of my wife. I was 17, she was 15 when I met. She was the best. She was the sister of my best pal, because we biked together, and I went back to his house, met his sister. The rest, as it says, history. One of the things I've spoken about a couple of times, and I mentioned it on BBC Radio Scotland, we're getting interviewed, is that when Ruth died, I had 4 choices. One was to head for the Erskine Bridge and jump off it. Number 2 was to be absolutely consumed by grief and to sit at home and stare at the wall or watch endless soap operas on the television. Number 3, and I always liken this, and again, I think I said this to you, Bruce, look at your gas boiler. See the little pilot light flaming away there? That's your safe life. That's the odd walk and a nice coffee with a friend, which is all part of it. Turn the heating on. The pilot light goes,
Big life.
That's the big life. That's the best life. That's going to Pecos with the bikers.
That's you.
That's you.
Live your life.
Live your life, 100%. I've got two mantras. One is, this one's another thing to do with couples. Couples that play together, stay together, and live your life. And that's my two mantras in life.
You know, there's nothing bigger out there than that the three words.
Yeah.
There really isn't.
Yeah. And but you also have to be conscious of the fact that we all have different amounts of resource tools in the box. Picture the 70-year-old woman who's just lost her husband she's been married to for 40 odd years. She lives on the 13th floor of a high rise in a city somewhere, and she's got a bit of a disability. How is she going to live the big life? She can get a motorbike and go to the Pecos.
Yeah.
What she can do, she maybe not have that many friends and family, but you have to maximise what you do have, because there'll be people out there with a lot more resource than I've got, a lot more friends, a lot more opportunity and money than I've got. But you have to maximise what you've got. So the little old lady, she's maybe got her church, she's maybe got her neighbours. Don't refuse an invitation. Go to counselling. You'll probably find you can find your doctor will refer you to counselling that'll be free of charge. You can do that, and talk to people, and get up in the morning and make your breakfast and let a light in. You don't need money to do that. You don't need friends to do that. And as I say, talk to
You lads, you've just frozen on me. Oh, don't do that to me. Oh no, don't do that to me.
through this experience.
Hello? Oh, you're back. Sorry, you totally froze there on me.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to learn. I want to remember that I grew and I learned a ton of stuff, and I learned a lot of things about myself that I didn't know before this happened. So that would be my takeaway from it.
Right.
You've yeah. But I have to say, Bruce, one thing. You know, I mean, my wife and I used to watch you, as I say, back years ago when you were doing your round the world thing. And that was a truly inspiring thing. And I never ever thought I'd be facing anything like this. You don't think these things, do you?
No.
But, you know, thanks to you and your inspiration, I'm still cooking the gas. I'm still here, living. So here's to you, mate. Thank you.
Here's to my mum.
Your mum. And my favourite video was the day you stood beside your locker and emptied it out. I love that video.
Wow, yeah.
I remember watching that. That was brilliant.
What a day
So many coppers have messaged me about that vid.
Yeah.
Said it really hit home for them.
It's shit that they landed you in that situation in the first place where you had to make that decision.
Life's like that.
Unfortunate, but
It annoys me that, I mean, it was not a serious thing. It was not a big thing. It was literally, you know, you get a letter that basically you'd have to sign that would say, I'm going to be on my best behaviour for the next 3 years.
Yep.
That's basically all it was. But what it was the stipulation that this governor, she said I had to stop all social media.
No.
So I couldn't even change the name from TeapotOne to something else.
Was
I had
never
to
gonna
stop
happen, was
everything. And no, because I was like, how can you stop? No, I've invested 10 years of my life into this, you know, and
was it just an unpixelated speedometer? Was that all it was? An unpixelated
yeah, all it
speedometer?
was, she said it was an integrity issue, which really gets
that's
me, because integrity is something that I pride myself on, you know. It's like the only thing
Everybody
you
knows
can...
you for it.
It's the only thing you've got control of, isn't it? And when she questioned my integrity, I was like, do you know, like, I might blur the speedo, but I'm not like doing stupid speed. It might just be that I don't want people going, I know where that bend is, and I want to do that bend at the same speed, you know,
absolutely,
all this sort of stuff. Okay, you know, I was enjoying myself on the RR. I was, absolutely, but you know, it wasn't ridiculous, and it was just the fact that this thing that she said, you know, you got to stop all your social media. I was just like, well, I know that the brand TeapotOne, this community that we've got going on, it helps so many people who are going through unquestionable things, you know, things that are way harder than I think I could probably ever deal with, but it helped them deal with it, and it was also it was a good bridge between the old Bill and the biking community as well, because they saw a normal face behind it.
Yep.
And I just you know when you reach the end of a time with, like, in a relationship or in a job, and I was just like, do you know what, I think I'm a different person than I was when I put the cloth on. I'm not that person anymore, and I'm not going to play your stupid games anymore. So I'm done. Did me a favour at the end of the day, didn't it? Because
what a move that was, though.
it's not a bad life, is it?
No, not at all.
You said that the other week there. We were going up some mountain, and you said, "This is my job. How did this happen?"
I know. Another tough day in the office.
I love it. I love it.
Speaking of that, actually, Andy's got a final question. This is Andy, by the way, Gordon. Andy from the Picos. Andy Groton.
I know what's coming next. I read it.
Finally, a question to Gordon. Asking for a friend, how do you find the balance of your KTM when parking? It was a great trip.
This was coming.
I sent you a message about that once. I wasn't impressed.
Do you know, it's weird? I've been biking for about 45 years, and the vast majority of my offs have been 5 miles an hour or stationary.
Generally always are, man.
Knocking over GSs now and then.
Listen, I don't know if I said this in a pub. I'm deformed, little like Popeye. I've ruptured my bicep tendon, or one of them. You've got 2 tendons.
This is where the excuses start.
But bicep is Latin for 2 heads. So you've got 2 tendons. I've ruptured one.
Every day's a school day, folks. Every day's a school day.
day.
Yep, absolutely.
Tricep, 3 heads, 3 tendons. I got a 1190 Adventure delivered. Lovely brand new bike to my house several years ago. My wife is sunning herself in the patio, and I said to her, I'm just going to jump in the new bike. I'll be back in 20 minutes. I'm not going to wait for long. I'll be back in 20 minutes. Okay, off I went. Came back in 20 minutes, reversed it into the space, got off the bike, caught the bike with my foot, just like I did at Infantado Hotel.
Yeah.
On the 1190, the stand, unlike the 1290, the stand's really, really high, so the bike almost sits vertical. I caught it the wrong way. Anyway, so it's starting to fall. I realise it's fall. I turn around, try and catch my baby, my 1/4 ton of motorbike with my arms. Felt this shooting pain up my arm. Bike fell, turned round, lifted my t-shirt up and went, well, that's not going to be better in the morning. Because you could tell something tragic had happened. I elected not to have the surgery because I'm not a bricklayer or, a manual worker. But I'm about 20%, 30% power down on my right-hand side. So I've got this deformed bicep on this side. About 2 years ago, I was coming out of Troon. My wife was in the back, and for some reason, I think we'd just come back from touring. So the panniers were on like they were in the Picos. And you know, if you come to a set of traffic lights and the road has got a camber like this,
Aye.
you have to put the high foot down. Because if you put the low foot down, everything's on that one leg. So you learn, 45 years a biker, you learn, you put the high foot down. Coming out of Troon, I get a warning light up on the dashboard. Because I'm like, oh, what's that? I need to stop quick. So I'm looking for somewhere to pull in.
Is this on the KTM, Gordon? The KTM?
Yeah, it's the exact same bike.
Shock that, isn't it? Warning light on the KTM.
That bike's been over a couple of times. You're talking about the warning light, right? Okay.
You got there.
So I hurriedly pull into a sort of lay-by business thing in the left-hand side. Wife's on the back. Don't notice a slight camber going to the left. What leg did I put down? The left leg. And I can remember as soon as my leg hit the ground, I went, I've got this for about 6 seconds, and then we're going down. Down we went. Panniers saved her legs because the panniers hit first. The
Dropped his wife as well. I don't know.
Aye, terrible. And then this one at the Picos, I went all through that week, 1,000 bends, and never an off.
Yellow vest moment at the Picos.
That was the yellow vest moment.
That was the yellow vest moment. You'll see that in about a year's time when I edit
I know. So I came down the next morning, and there it was, hanging on the wing mirror of my bike. And I put it on, a bit of humility, right? Okay. And then I hear this voice from behind me saying, hello, Gordon, you're looking very nice in the yellow vest this morning. We'll not go into the reason. But basically, when I come off that bike and I caught it and it fell into it, I get knocked on my backside, went into Steve's GS. Yeah. He's standing on the other side of it, knocked him over as well. And we're lucky.
Is this on camera?
Mate, but see if that had been 4 or 5 bikes.
There may be footage.
Good. If that had been 5 bikes, the whole 5 were going down.
Aye.
The whole 5 were going down. So anyway, I had no damage. I had to cough up 1,200 quid for Steve's damage.
Can I just say, I've never done that.
Well,
As
Ouch.
RT riders don't drop bikes.
so anyway, so
BMW.
Do you know what? I'm not
BMW.
going to say a thing. That's the KTM guys, isn't it? That's
I was happy. I was happy. I was happy to do
because
it.
he's not got shaft drive.
What's a chain? Steve was very good about it. He actually got the bits and put it all on himself, so he saved me some money. But
Yeah, he's
it
good.
cost me. That's life, mate. That's what happened, and that's the way to resolve it. So,
That's what Brian says, wasn't it? What's a chain?
no, that was Motorrad when I went up to Skye with Motorrad. And
Oh, was that them?
I said, I've got to lube my chain before I go. But if you sell lube, but he goes, what's a chain?
So it was.
That was the Motorrad BMW guys. I'm rubbing my right shoulder here, not because I've ruptured my bicep tendon. I was doing press ups about 5 weeks ago, and I heard this in my shoulder, and I thought, soft tissue injury, lay off the press ups for a week. 5 weeks ago, still sore. I think I've got a rotator cuff injury. I think I've torn
5 press ups is quite hard for the guy at Gordon's.
Was a lot.
Do you know,
more,
I don't think I could do one press up, let alone 5.
he's 100 a day.
terrible.
100 a day.
That was 75.
Jesus, do you?
Aye.
Oh, mate, I've got the sort
Not
of
in one
life
go.
out.
No, I won't lie and say I do it in one go. I do like 30 or 40 and I go, and then I'll do 40 later and then 20 or whatever to finish off. But I've done 250, 300 odds in a day.
I'm just
I
turning
started
into
doing it for
Blancmange, man.
cancer, for Teenage Cancer Trust a couple
aye,
of years back, and I've just kept it up. I enjoy
Good on
doing
you.
it.
Good on you.
But when a stubborn old goat, instead of going, well, I better stop, I was at 10 from my target, so I just kept going with it. And I've obviously knackered my shoulder. I might end up getting surgery on that or something. I've torn cartilage, I think.
Well, the moral from that story, Gordon, is exercise is bollocks.
Yeah.
That's a good answer, isn't it?
And you need
Sums it up, really.
and you need to get a bike with a lower seat height.
That's it, yeah.
You get on and off it.
Andy's got a final one. He says, one for Bruce. Without your own journey and your mum's advice of live your life, it may have never happened. However, how do you manage your own feelings and emotions? As it's been suggested, most middle-aged blokes never really considered it or how it impacts them.
It's a good question.
I pack things away, mate. I don't deal with them, and it's there all the time, and it's like
Can I just further add to that question? Have you, I mean, obviously I don't want to delve too deeply, but, you know, have you ever really sort of faced that grief from losing your mother? No? Okay.
nah. I'm not
Really?
ready to.
I get that. I get that. I really do.
What trigger? You say you're not ready to, and it's been a good number of years. What do you have in your mind a trigger or a time when and how you will deal with that grief? You know, have you got any sort of insight?
No, I don't. Just no. I don't want to share it with anybody,
I get that. I get
but
that.
I don't want to face it.
Yeah.
You
Understand.
not talk to your missus about it? No. It's just one of these things.
Yeah, well,
I'm not like that.
That's a good enough answer. Yes.
Aye. You don't want to end up in a rocking chair 10 years from now, you know,
I know.
shivering and shaking. You know,
I
but-
won't, but
No.
you know, I can't. I struggle to talk about it.
No, I respect that completely.
Is this bit you were talking about in the pub? You were kind of, okay, moving on.
Understand, mate. Right, move on. Next question.
Moving on, big man. Who's
Wee
next?
whiskey.
Get a whiskey down you. That'll do. That'll
You'll be
do. Well,
fine.
good.
You'll be fine.
Lubricate. Yeah, will
That's
you
the one.
stop my mixing desk here.
Cheers for those, Andy. Peaky, next one. Brian. Hello, lads. Hope you're both okay. Firstly,
Peaky.
I'd like to give you both my condolences. My question is, 1, do you think mental health, depression and grief are related?
I
Mental health.
honestly,
Connected?
I think grief is a mental health problem. I mean, it's nothing else if not mental health. It's exactly linked. And in my counselling with my occupational health department at work, when the woman diagnosed me with PTSD, my initial reaction was, "What? That's what guys in the army get." You know, my brother was ex-army as well. You know, you have this sort of perception of how these words come out, and she talked me through various different things, and you know, it was basically the trauma of the end of Sarah's life. It was how. You all right?
Is that the Ribena?
Boy, the whiskey went down the wrong hole there.
Oh, that's a bit burny.
Oh, yeah, just a bit. Sorry.
No, she spoke to me about this, and she was talking about the trauma that happened at the end, and how I don't want to talk about. I'm kind of like that as well. I don't really want to talk about that too much, but
Pardon me.
it caused nightmares. It caused all sorts of problems, and so my work decided that I had PTSD. That was my diagnosis. My GP decided I needed antidepressants and beta blockers to help with anxiety. And fucking hell. But yeah, I would say mental health is an absolute roller coaster of everything. So depression, PTSD, grief, all fall under one organ, and yeah, I think they're all linked.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. I mean, I'm not an expert, obviously, but just my personal experience of what I've been through, I would say, yeah, it's got to be.
We were on a couple of weeks ago with Brian.
Yeah, we were. It was a great.
It was a live podcast that we did, and I was asking Brian. Hi, Brian.
It was midweek mumble.
Yes,
I was asking him if he thought PTSD was something that you can be cured of, or like grief, it's just something that maybe diminishes with time.
Remember, we don't diminish; we grow around it.
Yeah. That's excellent, because I listened to that. You talked about the heart, not necessarily getting smaller.
Yeah,
it's more
The
that
jar
you
gets bigger.
grow.
yeah.
The jar gets
You
bigger.
grow, and
You grow around it.
You grow more space around the problem.
So Brian knows all about PTSD. He explained a lot of stuff. I don't know if you heard the story about him going into ABR and being surrounded by thousands of people and sort of speaking out. I just watched his video today, Brian, of the clan ride out thing, and great video, Brian. Great video. But could you please spare us a bit in your boxers, sitting in the chair and getting sort of dressed? That bit was totally unnecessary, and a wee bit sort of had to sort of rub my eyes at the end of that. But yeah, keep going to the gym. Keep going to the gym. That's my advice. You're looking good. You're looking good.
I appreciate Brian's sort of honesty as well when he speaks about things like PTSD and suicide and all that stuff. It's difficult. These are really difficult subjects for anybody to talk about. But I think the answer to the question is really, it's definitely. I mean, it's only our opinion, obviously. You'll know the same, but yeah, it's all the same. It's all linked. It's all a form of mental health issues. Whether it's grief, whether it's PTSD, whether you've seen horrific things in war, or whether you've watched someone die a horrific death, it doesn't matter. It's a mental health problem. So I would say yes.
Yeah, I would as well. He also says, I'd like a joke from each of you. Keep your chin up, keep reaching out to people, and your channel's making a difference to people's lives.
Thank you,
a joke.
Brian.
I'll tell you a joke, but you'll need to edit it out.
Never, I don't edit.
I'm trying to think of a joke that's actually clean and
I'm trying to think of a joke.
I went to see Jimmy Carr quite recently, and there's the best one of the whole night floating around in my head. But I might have family watching this, so I don't know whether I can tell it or not.
I want to hear it now.
Joke
you want to hear it now, don't you?
I do. All
right.
Jesus Christ.
That's a Jimmy Carr joke, right? Okay.
Okay, we got the level. Craig, we got the level. All right, we'll draw a line on that one.
Because if I'd had a couple of more of these, then I'd have got myself in real danger.
Sorry, Brian, we'll let you down there.
Well, cheers, Piggy. Thanks for the question, Paul.
I told the joke at Jimmy Savile, so we did all right.
You're there.
All fair, mate, all fair.
Aye. Cheers, Piggy. Thanks for that, pal. Next one, Debbie Clegg. Hey, Bruce, Craig, and Gordon. Hiya, Debbie. How you doing?
Hello, Debbie.
I'm usually a bit more chipper, but this is a tough day for me. This Friday marks a long, short year from losing my beautiful mum to leukemia and multiple sclerosis. She was incredibly strong, and it sounds like the loved ones you are grieving were also wonderfully strong women, a true part of who we become as ourselves. I thought I knew grief from several experiences in my life, but I never felt pain like the day I got that call, and I didn't get the chance to say goodbye. So, with this on my mind, my question is, do you believe it is good to hold on to a hope that we'll one day and someplace meet our loved ones again that have passed over the Rainbow Bridge?
100%. I've never been a particularly spiritual person. I'm not going to lie about that. until obviously things started to happen.
Yeah.
But I always hang on to the wee wifter of hope that I will see it again one day. And I'm always going to do that.
Well,
I know you're probably different, but
well, this is a lovely thing, isn't it? We all have it. I've always said that people think of people as being religious or non-religious. There's loads and loads and loads of things in the middle. We are the architects of our own belief systems, and you are free to draw up your own belief system.
of course, yeah.
So I don't go for Ruth up in the clouds looking down at me. But one thing, sort of cheering me on, so to speak. But one thing I do scientifically hold as definite is that she's in here and she's in here. Because you cannot be with somebody for 40 years without becoming a little bit them.
Yeah.
And them becoming a little bit you. If you're married to somebody and you have a decent marriage and everything else, you do become one. It sounds a bit pathetic, but after about 25 years or even 10 years, you become one person, you become one entity. Did you ever read the book Sam and Lord of the Flies when you were at school? Lord of the Flies, it was a big classic reader. Remember Piggy get ate by all the other kids? There was a plane crash or something like that, and they all ganged up on Piggy. And it's all about group dynamics. You probably experienced that in the police. And there was two wee boys that got washed up on this shore, and they were always referred to in the book as Sam and Eric. They were never Sam and Eric. There was always an N in the middle because they were twins.
Sam and Eric.
Sam and Eric. They were one entity. And that's kind of how I eventually ended up thinking about me and Ruth. Like Sam and Eric, we were one entity. So when Ruth died, it's literally having your right arm pulled out your socket. It really, really is. So I have become a bit Ruth. So I don't go for meeting her again. I don't go for her looking down from the clouds at me and fixing things out for me. But wherever I go, I take her with me. Because she's here and she's here, and I'm a little bit Ruth, and you can't avoid taking them with you. And for my son in particular, because that's his mum, and she's instilled so much of his values and integrities of personality, even more so than me. Wherever he goes, he takes his mum because he's a bit of his mum.
Yeah,
so that's my belief system when it comes to that. That they're always with you because you're a little bit them.
I would second that, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, as I said, I've never been a particular religious person. Sarah was quite a spiritual person, not in the sense that she was a particular churchgoer or anything like that, but she always believed in other things out there, and she did runestones and all these things. But it's a wee hope I cling on to that one day, whatever happens, I like to think that there's something.
Yeah,
something else.
Something else.
I was like you, Craig. Yeah. In my younger years, I was very, very not analytical. I was very black and white about stuff. We're just, it was a freak occurrence that we're here. You have your time, and then when that's it, your worm food. That's it. It's gone. It's just you have your time, and that's it. But life experience, really, like sadly, I've dealt a lot with death and the police, and you deal with people losing their lives and all this sort of stuff. And it strikes me, and it was the same with my mum when my mum passed away. The person goes almost the instant they pass. The person's gone. There's just like a vessel left. I can't explain it.
I understand.
You're 100% right.
Where you're coming
But
from.
it's just a carcass that's left.
Yeah,
The person's gone now, and it's like,
100%.
where's that gone? Where? Because physics teaches you can't lose energy.
You can't.
Energy has to go
create
somewhere. So where's that gone? What? And I do find myself as I'm getting older questioning a lot of things now and just thinking, maybe there is someone else. Like you, Gordon, I don't think of people sat up on clouds or anything. But it's
I
like,
don't think that either. Yeah.
Is there something else there? I don't know.
I lay with Sarah for an hour and a half nearly after she passed, waiting until it was later on at night and stuff. And she, like you just said, it was just the body. It wasn't her.
Yeah.
I felt
really
it
weird, isn't it?
And I went to see her in the funeral home as well a couple of days later, and it was like looking at a porcelain doll.
That's interesting because again, I think it was Nivas, Bruce, in the pub at Nivas. We started talking seriously about this stuff, and I think I said to you, I assume being a cop, you've been to postmortems. Yeah, now they're a whole different ball game, right? We'll not go into the graphics of postmortems, but they're not very nice. And as a young cop trying to cope with that and not spew your ring and sort of, incidentally, if you ever put a sweet in your mouth, like a hard boiling and suck, it stops all autonomic nervous system getting into that sort of catalogue of where you feel lightheaded, black spots before your eyes and you faint because your mouth goes dry. If you suck a sweet, you'll be okay. There was other guys with handkerchiefs with aftershave on it.
That's right, yeah.
You've seen it, you've been there. But I'd never seen the likes of this before, and to me, the way I coped with it was that what I was looking at in front of me was almost like a spitting image puppet.
Yeah, same.
The indefinable spark of electricity, and we do have electricity in us, that indefinable spark of electricity has gone, it's left.
Yeah.
And you used the word carcass vessel, which still has to be respected.
Of course.
Absolutely respected. But that indefinable thing that is gone, wherever it's gone, it's gone. But as you rightly say, you can't destroy or create energy, so where's it go? It converts. I don't know, but it is important, I think, to realise for everyone that you could, as I'll repeat it again, you can be the architect of your own belief system. There's no book that tells you what to think. You're either religious or you're non-religious, or you follow these rules or you don't. As you grow on in life and you come across people, aunts, uncles, parents, whatever it is, dying and having to deal with the grief of that, which isn't maybe as close to you as other people, not parents obviously, but aunts and uncles and things like that, and grandparents and what have you, you start to develop your own beliefs and your methods of coping with it, and that's your own belief system.
Absolutely.
And you're free, everybody's free to draw up their own plans,
Yeah, definitely.
Debbie
world. Also says, also, did you find strength within you while accepting grief and coping with the after time that you had never realised before? Yeah, so did you find yourself stronger than you maybe thought you were?
Yes.
In your ability to cope with things?
I can wholeheartedly say yes, because up until the day Sarah died, I could not imagine. I couldn't. You'll understand.
I didn't know that part.
You'll just. I couldn't figure a way to continue with my life with the gravity of the situation. And then when she passed away, I found myself getting up and putting my feet in the ground and getting out of my bed and following this routine every day. Don't get me wrong, months of not sleeping and various different things, and I will not deny I struggled badly with the entire thing. But I fought because I know Sarah wanted me to. Yeah. So I found the strength in what my wife wanted for me, and that was the only way I managed to get by until now. And obviously, the reason I started the channel was because of what Sarah and I talked about before she died.
Yeah.
Do you want a beer?
I've got beers too there.
I see your tins are empty.
I know I've got another two in there, don't you worry about that.
Okay.
Means I need to disappear for 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's nothing magical or anything like that. I mean, all of us have different experiences during their life. Some people live very, very safe lives. They never go out their hometown. They never. What I'm trying to say is that it was nothing magical. It's just that I had never been in company of myself in that situation. I'd never come across that situation before. So the obvious answer is yes, discovered a strength and a resolve that I never knew was there, but I never needed it before. So
no, you don't realise until it actually just hits you, bum, and then you suddenly go, oh, what happens next? And then that's when you find what you're really made of.
My mum often talks about, my mum was widowed at 34 years of age. My dad died when he was 36, quite suddenly. And my mum was widowed with a 10-year-old daughter, my sister 2 years older than me, and me 8. And in those days, you didn't go to counselling. We didn't talk openly like this about bereavement. And my mum just talks about the fact she had 2 kids that had to get fed, watered, put out to school.
She had to crack on.
She said if it wasn't for the 2 of you and me having to do that, she had, I probably collapsed, and it was quite a messy situation. That was the day we come back to Paisley, incidentally, and my dad wasn't into football. We lived in Clarkston, South Glasgow at the time. My dad wasn't into football at all. I'd never been to a football match. But arriving back in Paisley, where my mum's parents and brothers and sisters lived, she felt safest there, being widowed. Came back to Paisley. And my uncles, feeling sorry for me losing my dad, said, would you like to come to St Mirren with us on Saturday? And I tell you now, just listen, I think back about this. There was about 6 cousins, 3 uncles and a grandfather in 3 cars, and we all made our way to Love Street, as you probably remember it was for St Mirren. It's always a quiz question on Valentine's Day. Who plays at Love Street? They've moved now, they're not at Love Street anymore. Anyway, this contingent we get in. But here's the thing. Let's go back to the 1970s.
Come on, I was only born in 72.
Three cars
76.
arrived. Right.
I'm older.
I'm 62. I am 62 and born in 62. 3 cars driving into the car park at Stanley Firs in Foxbar.
Oh, I remember that place. I used to go there with my old man for a pint.
3 uncles and a grandfather getting out the cars, leaving the wains on the motor, getting a can of Coke and a bag of crisps while they went in and had a couple of beers, and then drive you out to football. The good old days. It's just magic. And my uncle, one of my uncles was a kit man at St Mirren. He was a friend of Alec Ferguson's. And my tech drawing teacher at school was a part-time physio at St Mirren as well.
Some uncle.
It was a what?
What's some uncle?
A uncle, does I say a uncle? My uncle.
Uncle.
That's a whiskey, mate. That's a whiskey. Anyway, how did we go into that?
I don't know, but that was a really good question, actually. It was quite an interesting one, yeah.
Debbie says, thanks so much to all of you. You know what you do to get us all through. Kindness and best wishes, Deb. Debbie, thank you very much. Thinking of you and Ian during this time. Mark from Leeds.
Oh no.
Exactly.
Is this where I go to the toilet or something?
Yeah. This is where we all switch off.
The big love in between Mark and Gordon. How you doing, mate? Do you want a
Excellent.
body? Do you want a body? What was it I said? A minder. Do you want a minder?
That's right, a minder, yeah. Yeah, you felt sorry for Mark. No. You don't need to feel sorry for Mark. He brings it all on himself. He loves it.
I know that now.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent you have these fine gentlemen on the podcast this week. My heartfelt condolences go out to you both. I think it's fantastic that you've created an outlet like this. I've not had the pleasure of meeting Craig yet, but I had pleasure of meeting Gordon at the Dundee Clan weekend. What a fine gentleman you are, and thank you for the lovely words you expressed about me on Peaky's Live the other week. Pardon me. Shit, he can ride a bike also. So, here comes the question to all. If your motorcycle could talk, what embarrassing secrets would it spill about your riding skills?
Well, we know what yours would spill, don't we?
1 minute standing up, the next minute knocking over.
Stabilisers, aye.
Stabilisers, that's the one. Yeah.
If my motorcycle could talk, oh jeez. I don't even know where to start with that one.
Break the speed limit for a start.
I don't break a speed limit. That never happens.
You can't talk, Gordon. I've just done the Picos with you, pal.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. If it could talk, and it would tell.
And an embarrassing secret my bike could tell. Oh. That's a difficult question. Mark, well done. You've really got me stumped. I think I've been a perfect model of motorcycling. No.
He's IEM and all that, Bruce.
Oh, no.
He's advanced.
Hello.
That's the olden days.
Did you ever go through a bus lane that you shouldn't have went through?
No.
Yeah.
No.
My bike could speak.
An embarrassing secret.
Oh, I can't think of one. Too deep, mate. It's too deep. A bad embarrassing secret.
I farted in the mud.
Oh, now you're talking his language.
And I didn't need to worry about it because I was on a bike, so I waited to get home.
If you ever come on tour with you'll know that this is a daily thing for me. I have to leave the group and disappear.
I've got colitis, so
he's got colitis.
Right.
I was desperately trying to get home, and I was stuck in traffic in Paisley Road West, and I don't really want to discuss this, but
we've heard him both ends.
Fucking hell, my bike.
Oh God, yeah.
Attack of the Bruces.
Attack of the Bruces, that's it.
Attack of the Garys.
The Garys. Gary Glitters, yeah.
Yes, he's done it. Yeah. That's my wife used to say all the time. You've got the Garys again. That's a
hard question, isn't it?
That is a hard one.
I've
not dropped a bike since 19...
Canteen.
No, that's not true. 2000, I lived up near Pitlochry. I was scudding it along to Aberfeldy in a wee CBR 600F and hit a left-hand bend and there was tractor shite all over the road and still a tractor on the road. And I came off the bike and I scudded along the road in my coccyx, still in the riding position, and landed in the River Tay, just on the banks, still like that.
Jeez, really?
No idea how I got there, and the bike just went under the tractor.
I've just remembered mine.
I got a brand new bike off the insurance.
Wow.
I got a VTR. An SP1.
Oh, nice.
I went to a CBR 600F to a Honda SP1.
God, I bet you wish you kept that.
Oh, I know. That was a
lovely
monster of a bike. I loved it.
Beautiful bikes.
Absolutely shit in the town because the fueling on it was crap. I think the SP2, they fixed a lot of the fueling issues.
Aye.
But back in the days, the fuel injection was a bit crap, wasn't it? It was a bit mince. It was early days, and it was a bit hunty and stuff. But see, when you were in that open road, I thought I was Colin Edwards.
My mate Reedy had
guy
one.
that won the World Superbikes on an SP1, wasn't it?
Colin Edwards. I didn't know he was on an SP, but
I'm sure he won World Superbikes on an SP1.
Oh wow! Okay,
I'm going to have to Google that now.
Yeah. There'll be people throwing things at the screen. No, you're wrong.
Hold on. I'm going to find it.
So my embarrassing thing my bike was going to tell was just simply going to be coming up for Tesco's a few months ago on the KTM.
Did you knock a car over?
There's a wee dual carriageway comes out of Port Glasgow up towards Langbank, and I was doing 135 mile an hour for a few seconds. That's my guilty secret. But then I remember when you talked about landing up in the river. 6th year at school, going to best pal Ruth's brother. There was about 6 of us at school on 6-year-old motorbikes. That's why I left school with no hires and ended up doing them several years later. It's always dogging off. So we dogged off this particular day. Now, in Scotland, after you're 16, you're not obliged to go to school. It's not illegal to not go to school. So we've gone down to Largs. Hang on. We're going down to Largs. There's 3 ways to go to Largs, Bruce. There's the Haley Bray Road down through Kilburnie. There's the Coast Road that goes down through Greenock, Gourock, Skermally, Reams Bay, Largs. And there's a wee road that goes over the back of Largs called the Loch Tom Road. And it's a single track road and it drops you down into Greenock. And we're on this single track road racing. I had a Suzuki TS100. He had a Yamaha DT100. And we're racing on this single track road. And I never made it round the right hander and ended up in a bog and came out head to toe covered in shit and mud. That's the story that my bike would tell.
Shit and mud. That's it. Well, you...
Sorry, pal. Keep kicking this wire.
Keeps kicking the wire. Right, so here is the 1999. Edwards managed several victories, right? So he came second to Carol Fogarty in 1999. In 2000, Edwards rode the Honda VTR 1000 SP1, or as known then as the RC51, to overall victory in Superbike World Championship. Edwards came second to Ducati rider Troy Bayliss. Remember them? In 2001, but then he reclaimed the title from Bayliss in 2002 with, again, the SP1. So it was twice world champion.
There you go.
And that was about the same time as I bought it, so I felt like Colin Edwards. That's where it came from.
I met Colin Edwards on the world trip. I tell you what, he's the most genuine, down-to-earth bloke.
I've watched something...
What you see is what you get. Really decent lad.
Colin Edwards. I was watching a programme. It was Henry Cole or something like that met Colin Edwards.
Is he an English guy? I don't follow that.
No, he's an American superbike.
He's American, Texan.
I never followed that stuff.
The Texas Tornado, wasn't it? That was his name.
Colin Edwards.
Oh, it's coming back to me.
Great lad.
Anyway, right, so, sorry. We digress.
Embarrassing thing for me, I tend not to get embarrassed because I share everything. So like if I cock something up, it's on camera generally, and there it is.
It, don't you?
I'm the same.
Well, it's life in it.
So what?
Nobody's perfect, are they? So embarrassing secret.
What about
I comfort break a lot? I do notice that. Yeah. Well, I trail brake. I trail brake the front into bends a lot of the time.
So do I. That's I was trying to explain trail baking to trail baking. That's when you make cakes.
It extends the surface area between the tyre and
when you trail brake, you're compressing the forks. Yeah. So you've got all that grip in the tyre, and you're going into the bend, and as you're going into the bend, you're just gently coming off it, so the tyre maintains all that grip as you're entering it. That's the. I learned. I remember trying to do that years ago, and I've done it ever since. It's always a thing I've done. People, there's advocates out there that say, "Oh, it's only for the track. That's only for the track. You don't do that in the road." But sorry, are you in this one?
You're not embarrassed by any of your crashes, Bruce? That your bike would
for a wee second.
No, because I think if anyone says,
what about the collarbone? The guy did the U-turn in front of you, and then you made the
no,
video.
that was my collarbone. Yeah, the guy that did the U-turn, he just collected the front of the bike.
Your shoulder came out.
That was a nurse. A nurse pulled out in front of me on that one.
God, really?
I mean, it's
there somewhere. The nurse pulled out in front of you. Oh, boom, boom.
Again, like if you commute in and out of London 7 days a week for the best part of 10, 12 years, you're gonna have an issue. And it just so happened that I had. All my issues happened in the last year or two, I think, that I was doing it. So that's probably a sign anyway, wasn't it? And that I was just doing stupid hours anyway, so I probably wasn't alert enough. And it's lessons you need to learn, isn't it? And you're only going to learn them when you cock them up. So it's a bit of a wake up.
I felt for you in that video. You're in a lot of pain in that vid. A lot of pain.
My wife's filming it.
Your wife come down and started taking the mickey out of you and all that. Yeah.
She's a copper. She's got the same gallows sense of humour. So there's no escaping it. Right, good. Next one. Owen Harries. Evening all. Ooh, a new channel and podcast to subscribe to. Make sure you do, Owen.
Nice.
Cheers, pal.
Nice.
My questions are, Craig and Gordon, knowing what you know now, having so unfortunately had to ride this chapter, what may you have changed in the past? Ooh. Looking forward to seeing your channel and the rest of the journey. So knowing what you know now, after being through what you've gone through, what would you change in your past?
Ooh. That sounds like a question sort of, it's trying to tease out that your wife has died, your wife is gone. What do you regret maybe not doing? It's a sort of takeaway, a take from that. What do you regret from the past? So things that you perhaps could have done together that you never did.
Or maybe something you didn't say that you wish you did say.
Yeah, it sounds like that kind of question, doesn't it? It really does. Nothing immediately springs to mind. I think on a podcast, I'll say I think I was a really good husband, but I don't think I was a great husband. And given a chance again, I think I'd like to put more effort into being a great husband. I was a bad husband, I was a good husband, but I'd like to put effort into being a great husband. I never took her for granted. I always loved her, and I knew how lucky I was, and we did a lot of things together. But I just probably could have done a bit better, I just probably could have done a bit better and made it a little bit better. There's nothing specific that I would go back and change. Nothing.
You have to forgive me. What was the question? Was it?
Read it out again.
It says, knowing what you know now, having been through what you've had to go through, what would you have changed from the past?
Oh. Something you never said, maybe something you didn't do.
No, I used to make a point of telling her I loved her every day, every morning and every day. And with being a biker, she used to make me send her a text every morning when I got to work saying, "At work safe." About 15 kisses after it. She insisted on it. And if I ever forgot any morning, by God, I knew about it. I don't want to go into my history, but I was with Sarah for 10 years. And she was 15 years younger than me. And she was wonderful, beautiful woman. And I have absolutely zero regrets. We had 10 years of absolute bliss. My only regret is I didn't meet her earlier. But I used to say that to her, and she used to laugh and say, "You'd be a paedophile if we met earlier." And she never ever let me forget the fact that she was 15 years younger.
Are you both aware of the pervert test?
Oh yeah, I'm aware of the pervert.
No, go on.
I've passed the pervert test.
Do you know the pervert test?
No,
Bruce?
go on.
So, what age are you, Bruce?
48. now.
You're 48 now. So, if you were a single man, right, you've got to go with somebody half that age. That comes to 24, right, and then you've got to add 7. So that takes you to 31.
So anybody younger than
So
that,
anybody younger than 31, you're a pervert. And you can apply that to any age. So for me, 62, 31 plus 38, I've got to go with somebody 38 or above, or I'm a pervert. That's a pervert test.
That's not bad, that, Gordon. That's not bad.
That is actually a really good question, but if I'm being honest, and I know it's dead easy for people just to talk crap in these situations, but Sarah and I lived a great life. We caravan. We loved our caravan. We had a touring caravan. Sarah loved it, and it was our favourite thing in the whole world. And we just loved going away with our caravan and our little dogs. We used to go away adventuring. She was into history. We did things together. We were best friends. We were just. I never believe in, and I was never a believer in that sort of fairy tale nonsense. But I got it. Yeah. And if I had to go back 10 years knowing what I know now, I would still do it again to have lived that life.
Have that,
experienced that.
And remember what I said, one of my mantras is couples that play together, stay together. So golf tournaments, St Mirren Football Club and motorbike.
The only thing is she hated St Mirren and she would never come to a game, the little shit. But she did say, and she kept saying it right till the end, when I get better, I'll come to a game. I'll get a season ticket for it, because she was just Sheffield Wednesday daft. And to her, St Mirren were just a stupid little team for Paisley, that's... Apart from that, she was perfect.
Which is basically what they are.
I think for me, it's different when it's with your mum, but... Yeah, I definitely. I wish I'd told my mum what she meant to me more, and I think we spoke a lot. We used to spend a lot of time just talking when she was living in the flat with me.
Yep,
but not really talking about stuff that I would love to talk to her about now. Life and.
You wish you could go back and talk to her about these things. I totally get that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's actually one of the things that I find really poignant about the song that we're doing for the charity. The song's called The Living Years by Mike and the Mechanics. You probably know it. And it's about not leaving things unsaid. It's an importance of saying to the people that you love them. It's about the importance of talking. And that's what the whole idea is about with the charity single, is don't leave things unsaid. Don't wait and regret it until it's too late.
100%. Yeah, cheers to that, Owen. He also says, Bruce, I hope the Pandering did not create too much of a hangover during the podcast with Mark from Leeds. It is rated at 58%. It did the job, mate. I tell you, I didn't drink much of it, but
it's the Welsh whiskey, isn't it?
Yeah, it was lovely. It's really sweet.
Friend.
Oh, you gave me grief because I said it was
cherry cask.
Cherry cask, not sherry. Well, I was 2 sheets to the wind, Gordon.
Actually, I was filming a whiskey tasting session
that night
in Fox and the Hound.
It's 5 minutes from my house. I wasn't even there.
Yeah, and it was hilarious because about 3 years later, they were all pissed as farts, a lot of them. And the guy that had organised it or had asked me to go and film it because we were making a trailer for the pub to try and advertise their session to tourists and stuff like that. He came out in absolute hysterics. He says, you should hear the state of them in there. They're fucking dribbling over this.
Brilliant. Upper class.
Yeah, brilliant. So I had to get in and have a look, and it was the funniest thing ever. I actually filmed a wee bit. I was
going to say, get the camera rolling.
Oh, God.
One thing I've never done is get snobbish about whiskey. Oh, you've got to put this in it and water in it. Oh, ice, you can't drink it with ice or lemonade. You drink your whiskey like you like it.
Well, what these people decided to do, they were regulars. And if you're a whiskey drinker, you might know this. I'm not a whiskey drinker, so I don't have a clue. They reckoned they had a nose that could tell which whiskies they were drinking. So what they decided to do was take 5 big decanters of whiskies and not tell anybody what they were. They had envelopes. And you can imagine they were like that, trying to figure out what whiskies they were. I didn't actually wait to the end because by the time I got to that point, it was a rabble, so I didn't think.
I used to be able to do that quite well. Not with them all, but it was a number of whiskies.
Oh, they were knocking them back like I've never seen.
Such and such.
Anyway, right, mind that cable.
I didn't touch it that time.
See, your size 14s knocking the cable.
It's the 7 foot long legs that's the problem.
Right, cheers to that, Owen. Next one, Dave Ramsey. How you doing, Dave? Good evening to you all and to the wider community. As Craig knows, I'm included in this unhappy band of
Dave,
brothers.
yes, I know Dave. Yes, he's on the channel.
My question to you both is, do you think you would have done anything differently with the time with your wife or mum between diagnosis and the inevitable? And what advice would you give others on that path? Well, I think we've kind of covered that, haven't we? That was the last one there.
Between diagnosis and, during the illness, no, I wouldn't have changed anything.
Sarah and I did everything we could. We were away to London, we spent fortunes, we ate fine dining food and just lived our life.
Did you?
Someone told us to do that.
Oh, mate.
Woo-ha. Forgot the woo-ha. Oh, he's off.
Oh, my.
Whiskey.
We did. It was our anniversary in August last year, and we went to a beautiful restaurant. We went to Cornwall with our caravan. We came home, and this was the retirement money, or Sarah's pension money. She bought me the Pikes Peak. We went to London. We were eating in fine dining restaurants. We stayed in a 5-star hotel right up at the top, right at Tower Bridge, and we blew a fortune and fucking loved every minute of it. And you know what? Wonderful memories.
Complete antithesis of that. I want to sort of say this. I get this every time I go to Tesco. Remember I talked about rituals, about hitting a happy face and taking it. I won't go on about that, taking the gun and everything. But my completely different to yours, talking about living life and great things. One of my flashbacks is that when Ruth got to the point where the hair was gone, couldn't walk more than the length of herself. But I'm still taking her to Tesco, and we get there, and I'm getting the wheelchair out the back of the car, and she's getting in the wheelchair, pushing her into the shop, and then you get one of these wee special baskets that hooks on to the front of the wheelchair. And now I'm pushing her around Tesco, this beautiful woman, a paediatric nurse for 42 years, about to retire, and I'm pushing her around Tesco's with this fancy basket on the front, and we're doing our Christmas shopping. And even though it's tragic as that is, and to think back about that, there was a lovely unity, there was a lovely acceptance, and there was also a little bit of humour where, because I was brand new at doing this and never done it before, I'd be pushing her past the turkey or the Brussels sprouts, and I'd be looking, she'd go, "You need to back me up, you need to back me up." Push me past. It's not you it's meant to be looking, it's me. So I had to develop this new skill of stopping 5 metres shy or 5 feet shy of what it is that she actually wanted to look at. And I used to get pelters for pushing her past the thing, and I'd be, we'll get that one. Pull me back. Got
to lift your vision, Gordon. Come on, lift it. Got to
lift your vision. It was you get a whole new skill set for all types of things when you go through something like this.
There's one thing I would add. It wasn't a regret or anything like that. It was just when you're talking about living your life. Sarah was a Sheffield Wednesday diehard, so Sheffield Wednesday sent her a strip, and it was all signed by the players. And in March, she was in a wheelchair, and she was determined. We got to the last game that she ever got to at Hillsborough Stadium in Sheffield, and I've got a video of her sitting there clapping her hands to Hi Ho Silver Lining, as happy as a pig in shite. You'd never know that girl was dying in a month's time, but what an experience.
Well, seeing as we're touching on this, and I wouldn't say the whole story, but I've said this 1,000,000 times. Stop exaggerating. Well, 500,000 times to you, other family members, everybody else. My wife is so brave, courageous and dignified with it all. Just amazing that I've often said to people, she's shown me how to do it when it's my turn.
We've both talked about that, haven't we?
Because
quite a lot,
and a slight depressing note, they now say that 1 in 2 people will get cancer. So I sort of view it as a case of not if, but when, and which one are you going to get, But she was a great example of, when it becomes my turn.
Yeah.
I won't have her to look after me, unfortunately, but that's fine. Because I wouldn't have chosen it the other way. See, if I had gone with a heart attack 10 years ago and the thought of her having to deal with that on her own without me being there.
Yeah.
It's all chivalrous thing. I'm the guy, okay, I was there. I nursed her, I did everything for her. And she always used to say, I don't know how to do this without a Gordon. And when it's my turn one day, I'll have to do it without a Ruth. But that's fair enough. I wouldn't have it any other way.
The funny thing is,
I'll bite the bullet and do that.
When Sarah and I met, I had an issue because she was 15 years younger than me. It was, she never had an issue. It was me. I was the plonker. And I was always going through my life worried about leaving her behind. And I was happy knowing that obviously working for the government, I've got good pension and death benefits and all these things. Never ever thought it'd be the other way about.
No.
You just never ever consider that as a thing when she's that much younger. But anyway, yeah, there you go. So
there goes the Pikes Peak, in other words.
Okay. Right,
Dave's got a couple of other questions at the end. He says, when out riding and you need a wee sugar hit, is it ice cream or cake?
Oh, no, it's cake for me.
Nardini's.
Aye, we usually.
Oh, no, you're the sensible guy. You get the toasty, and I'm
I know, I usually
get into cake nice.
I know, I sit and eat the toasty, he eats the cake. That's true. So we do.
Like a bit of cake.
I do like a coaster.
Yeah. And then he says, last question, salt and vinegar or salt and sauce?
Oh, salt and vinegar all day long.
Well, we're from the west. We're from the west. It's salt and vinegar. Go to Edinburgh and it's salt and sauce, salt and sauce. You're like, what are you saying? Sorry, what? Salt and sauce, salt and sauce. Sorry, I don't understand.
I thought Glasgow was salt and sauce.
No.
Because where I'm from, up in the northeast, it's salt and vinegar. I've never heard it. Salt and sauce. What's that all about?
Edinburgh salt and sauce.
Must be an east thing.
Well, I'm east. I'm North Aberdeen.
You're Aberdonian. You're north. You're no east. You're somewhere up there at the top.
You've forgotten. You need to go home. It's salt and
There's too much country between the civilization and where you used to live.
Do you know? I wonder if it was salt and sauce then. But my mum was English. My mum was English.
So was mine. Mine was a York for Yorkshire. Believe it or not.
Mine was from
My wife
Peckham.
used to slag me into the ground and say, half Yorkshire, you're half Yorkshire.
Yeah.
See, when Scotland and England were playing, she'd have their England shirt on, in the middle of page there. Just,
oh, jeez.
Oh, in English, bunting in the patio.
Bloody hell.
Did you say your mum came from Peckham?
Yeah, my mum was born and bred in Peckham, and
my
dad was. I know, yeah. My dad was born in Aberdeen, but then at the end of the war, his family moved down to Colindale in North London.
And
then obviously, and I joined the old Bill, and obviously went to Hendon Training College, and then got posted to Peckham, and like literally my neck was down the road from where my mum grew up.
Wow, that's a coincidence.
Weird, isn't it? And I remember before my mum died, she asked if I would take her for a drive around Peckham so she could just see Peckham. And I remember driving around Peckham, and she was like, "Oh, it's changed a bit." I was like, "Oh yeah,
You've not lost your accent; it's still good."
What, me? Can you hear the truth there in me then?
Well, my wife used to say, my wife used to worry about losing her Yorkshire accent, and people from when we went back down to Sheffield, which we used to go to Sheffield regularly, they'd say, "Oh, you're starting to sound Scottish." It wasn't the fact that she was sounding Scottish; it was she was picking up phrases that were familiar to us up here. She would maybe pick up the phrases and then she would repeat them down there and say, "Oh, that sounds Scottish." So she didn't lose her accent; she just picked up our expressions.
You'll probably get what I used to get years ago. I was down south for so many years. When I came back up here, it sounded shrill and foreign to my ear. And my brother-in-law used to say, "That's pathetic, Gordon. That's so you need to get back up to Scotland." But I was down there so much with guys from the southeast that your accent now, as you're talking now, would sound foreign on my ear and quite harsh,
Oh yeah, no. I just like my wife always says, she always knows when I'm like one of my best mates from back home, Crookie. She says she always knows if I've been speaking to him on the phone, because I go back to being like a chuchter, speaking Doric. And she's just like,
different. But no, your accent is very Scottish.
I really lost it. You've not lost it. Proud of you.
Good. Thanks. Cheers. Dave, thanks very much for your questions, pal. And it's good to have you in the clan, mate. It's good to have you
Absolutely.
there. Next one, Rebecca Christie. Evening, gents.
Hello, Rebecca.
Evening, Rebecca. I don't think I've had the pleasure of meeting either Craig or Gordon, but by the sounds of it, you are top blokes. I'm sorry you've all suffered such loss, but how fantastic that motorcycling has brought you together. I lost my son as a baby. It messed me up for a wee while, and although my husband and I had another son, our marriage didn't survive the loss as we dealt with our grief in very different ways. It was 27 years ago. Oh, excuse me. Losing my son was like losing part of me, and it was a journey finding my way through it. I really wish we had...
You need this bit out and I'd read it again later or something.
Oh, yeah.
I
know, Rebecca, and I never knew this about
You're
her.
an empathic person, and it's a nice thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I really wish we had YouTube back then as therapy. Just
right.
maybe want to kill someone. My biggest tool for coping was being true to my heart, allowing oneself to grieve however one feels right. No one can grieve for you, and there are no correct ways. I can say that it does get easier, and being part of this clan has massively helped. Wow.
That's amazing. Thank you, Rebecca. That's amazing.
So is she a biker then, Rebecca?
She is, yeah, she is.
She's in the clan. She's in the clan.
Motorcycling was my saviour. It was my therapy. No one knows what goes on under a helmet. Anyway, on a lighter note, my question to all, which Muppet character best reflects you? Keep up the good work.
Well, I'm a musician, so it's going to be Animal.
Do you know, I was going to say
Probably sums me up. Probably sums me up. With the amount of shit that's going on in my life now, trying to organise everything, I would say Animal for the...
Well, I'm going to go to the top and say Kermit, because Kermit was very thoughtful, very analytical.
I'm just...
very reflective.
If I had hair, it'd be sticking up.
Yeah.
But Albert Einstein, I think.
And I'm quite instinctive, so I would have said Animal for me as well. Yeah.
Oh, aye, absolutely. Yeah, I could see that.
Kermit liked to analyse things, didn't he? He's not always thinking about things. You know, he was. I'll go Kermit.
That is the worst Kermit impression I've ever had.
I was going to try and do an impression. I thought, no, I don't want to kill it, but you
thought that was Mr. Bean. It's not like Kermit.
That was a good Mr. Bean. But that's quite tragic what she's had to deal with. That's
again.
The standout from that comment was about YouTube being available. Was it 27 years ago?
Yeah. But mentioning being part of the clan and biking and everything being part of that healing process, which is really relevant to this whole topic.
Tell you what though, YouTube, I was just saying to my mum the other day, she's 88 and wired to the moon basically, but I was saying to her, she said, what's this all about? Why are you doing this? Is this riding through grief? Is this not just keeping you back in the same place? You can't move on? And why are these people contacting you? Is that not just making you sad? Is that not, she struggles to understand this whole thing.
Different generations away.
Yeah, but I said to her, and we were talking about this earlier, 1970 when she was bereaved, when my father at 36 died and left her with 2 kids, I said, imagine you probably felt very isolated and very sad and what am I going to do next? Imagine you could have went onto a forum and here was these other women in their 30s who lost their husbands and saying, I've got 2 kids to bring up, I don't know what to do. And he said, wee Johnny's having trouble at school, what will I do? And all these other mothers are coming in with sort of advice and support and why don't we go for a coffee? I only live a mile away from you. That would have been brilliant. She said, well, I suppose you've got a point. Yeah. That would have helped so much.
Yep.
We are so lucky having this. So lucky compared to our parents or grandparents. We'd have suffered a loss of a spouse, a loss of a child, for goodness sake. YouTube, this community in particular, it's priceless.
But even someone like yourself having us on here and giving us an opportunity to talk about this, it's such a catharsis. It's such a good thing to try and share with everybody else. So
riding through grief and YouTube has been a massive bit of my recovery. There's no getting away from that.
I'm supported by people like PK and Bruce and
the whole community, but people who are going for a ride with you, doing these kind of things.
Yep, absolutely.
Massive part of my recovery.
So,
it's the best part of social media.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And it can be crap.
It sums up what social media should be.
100%. 100%.
You think
when it's used for the positive,
brilliant.
It is
absolutely. It's brilliant.
Powerful.
It's got a fantastic reach. It's got the ability to reach people that you just never thought possible. If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't know Gordon. I wouldn't know you. It's
And anyone out there who's got any condition, I don't know whether it's alopecia or canny.
What'd you point to me for?
I know, why did he point at you?
The top he said, the bottom he said, I don't care if you're a one-legged lesbian or you're blind or you've only got one arm. There's a group out there on YouTube that will support you and give you advice. And
somebody made a comment about my chin, about trying to. He says, "Are you trying to grow a beard like TeapotOne?"
You were there a while.
I says, I says, I've had a goatee since I was in my 30s. I says, about 25 years or something.
Oh man,
20 years. And I used to have a full proper goatee. I've got fat neck. I've got an 18-inch collar. And I was, aye.
Jeez, oh.
And I used to be paranoid about my head just looking at one big thing for my shoulders. So I always had a wee goatee because it defined my chin. That's why I've got it.
I've got no chin. I've got no chin, so that's why I keep the beard. Like even when I was like,
it's funny looking back at your early videos when you were clean shaven.
Aye.
And then round the world days, you look like such a young boy then.
Just a kid, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
It's incredible.
God. Wow.
He's like spanked arse.
No, even my wife goes, don't ever get rid of that beard.
That's my problem. I've got no chin, so that's why I've got this. But I keep it trim.
Right, Rebecca, thank you very much for that question.
Yes, Rebecca.
Thank you for sharing. Sorry, I had a bit of a wibble. Next one, Michael Heaton. How you doing, Michael? Hey guys, I need to check this out. I reckon we all go through mental injuries of one sort or another. MS took 22 years to take my sister. Then a week after, my mum was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She died Christmas Eve. She said she didn't want to ruin Christmas. Both were such an inspiration and made me feel guilty about whatever pains me, but they both had a great sense of humour. Did you have any real dark jokes between you? I used to call my sister Emma Davros after the King of Daleks when she was in a wheelchair, and she used to laugh and call me see you next Tuesday. I need a bike ride now. So yeah, dark sense of humour, the old gallows humour. I mean, that's how we cope.
My wife used to refer to her stomach tumour as the alien. From the Alien movies.
From the Alien movies.
Aye, so she never ever referred to it directly as a cancer or a tumour or everything. She used to talk about the alien. Right. I don't suppose that's a dark side, but that was her way of dealing with it. She says, see when I get rid of this an alien, it's coming out of me. But yeah, that's about all I can think of with that side of thing. I used to slag her off for the wheelchair, but not to the Davros. Although she was a Doctor Who fan, a mad Doctor Who fan, so I could have went out and probably dressed her as a Dalek at Halloween or something like
Halloween.
that. They probably appreciated that, but yeah, no, it was alien. The tumour was our alien.
Nothing springs to mind, and you need to be a old get this one, but I did find myself.
I'm kind of oldish.
I did find myself referring to her as Ironside a couple of times, but I remember Chief Ironside and the detective in the wheelchair. Yep. It's amazing the way she embraced that as well. I remember the day the wheelchair arrived at home, at the house, and the way the enthusiasm for this new thing. But she was like that. Ruth was never an overindulged child by her parents, but everything you ever bought her, anything she ever had, she looked after, valued. She wasn't a materialistic person. And even when the wheelchair arrived, it was, right, we would put the bits on here and the handles there. And then I've got photographs of her sitting at the door with a smile on her face, sitting in the wheelchair the first day she got it.
Sarah,
I don't remember an awful lot of black humour, I must admit.
Didn't lose her hair as such. When she started getting treatment, she got treatment for the stomach cancer, which was a specific targeted drug. You stop wrecking my mixing desk. It's bloody lanky. She kept her hair, and the funny thing was, up until probably about up until about Christmas, she looked, for wanting a better way to put it, normal. I remember sitting in the Beatson in the clinical research unit, because Sarah she went from standard sort of chemotherapy treatment to trials. She had a couple of different trials, and I remember sitting in the clinical research unit, and there was a guy standing there, and he naturally assumed I had cancer because I'm a baldy git.
Because you were bald.
Aye. What kind of cancer have you got, son? And I looked at him, I says, I've not got cancer. Says, my wife has. And he went, I don't mean to be cheeky, but it looks as if there's nothing wrong with you. Which is testament to how good she looked at the time.
Yeah.
But when she did start losing her hair, now she was in a chemotherapy treatment, which was a really brutal treatment, and you can only get it once. It was a 6-month treatment, and the oncologist said at the time, you can't repeat it. Your body will never cope with it. So she got that. April 2023, the cancer, it was a primary cancer, was a stomach. Gastric cancer, but it spread to peritoneum or liver and all that sort of thing. But in April 2023, they said, your liver looks clean, it looks glossy, it's lovely. The cancer stopped growing. We can't ask for a better position. It's still there, it's still as big as it was, but it hasn't got any worse. So that's why for a period of time in 2023 we went to London, we went to Cornwall, we were just living our life. I keep saying that, living our life. And that's not just because you're here, that's literally what we were doing. And we she did that, she plodded on through that, and she went on to a trial after London. I remember speaking to the professor when we were in London, and he was talking about putting on this trial. And it was a phase 1 trial. They only give you phase 1 trials when you're dying. It's a phase 1 trial, just the very earliest of trials. And they gave it to Sarah because, well, for want of a better way to put it, there was nothing else they could do with her. But that didn't work. And then she put her on another trial, which they actually sent her DNA to America. And it got sequenced, and they found that it reacted with a particular drug. The drug was called pemigatinib, and the professor that was dealing with her pioneered this about 12 years ago. And he said even in the last 12 years, the technology's moved on so fast that they can now utilise it in ways that they couldn't back then. Anyway, long story short, she started losing her hair in this drug. And in February, she was sitting there, and I remember saying to her at the time, you know, I'm going to have to shave your head. And she says, I'm going to fucking look like you. She said, two baldies going down the street, me in a wheelchair, baldy as a coot, and you standing next to me, baldy. She's never going to harm. Anyway, I eventually had to shave her head, and that was the dark humour in that. She was just had a wee laugh that we could match her baldy heads in bed, you know.
That's funny. It's a coping mechanism, isn't it?
It was. She took humour in it. She found it difficult initially because I think other people that have I don't know how other people feel, obviously, but because Sarah had kept her full head of hair for all that time, it was almost a disguise. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas if she'd lost her hair really earlier on,
You've got to face up to it.
As she put it, she would have felt like a cancer victim, but she didn't.
Even
though she was going through all the treatment. It wasn't until she started to lose that she thought, oh, this is me really kind of, I'm starting to look like someone that's got cancer type of thing. But she had a good time slagging off because, you know, baldy husband, baldy wife, and that she thought that was hilarious.
It's so I remember all this as well, and funnily enough, you're talking about it brings it back to me because I haven't thought about this for ages. She went to hairdressers, she's long blonde hair, and she went to hairdressers and she got her hair cut short blonde. It was really, really nice. She looked really, really good because she knew that her hair was going to be falling out. And she was very smiley about a lot of things, very accepting about a lot of things, courageous, as I said. But she was pissed about this. We went to that place up in Glasgow near Slater's.
Oh, aye.
And you make an appointment, you go in and you get the wigs tried on and all the rest of it. And she was so negative. And for me, that was the one standout bit, that she was so negative around the whole hair falling out thing. Not particularly from a vanity point of view, but when she put the wigs on, she said, that doesn't look like me. And I was saying, no, look, that suits you. That's
she was
great,
never
that's
interested
fantastic.
in wigs, Sarah.
What actually happened was she ended up finding this this blonde circle of hair that you could put on and then put a headscarf on. And it looked really nice. I've got photographs of her. She looks absolutely fantastic. A kind of headscarf, but blonde hair sticking out underneath it. And that's what she did. She absolutely rejected all the full wigs. I actually thought the wigs looked really good. I thought but they were almost too big for her, you know. It was too much. But she was pissed off about that whole thing.
Talking about dark humour, Sarah bought a bandana with skull and crossbones on it and went to the beach.
Really?
Black bandana with skull and crossbones on it. There's one moment that I'll never forget, and when we decided she needed to shave her hair because it was starting to come out, I was standing in the kitchen behind her shaving her head and that moment my eyes just filled up and the tears were running down my face, but she didn't know that because I was standing behind her and I was trying to be all jovial about this and everything like that, but it was breaking my heart at the time because it was the sudden, for me again, it was another stepping stone of realisation to things that are coming to fruition. You know.
Do you know what strikes me when we're talking about this? You talk about that, I'm talking about my experiences. It's almost as if it's unique. But right now, probably watching this channel or when you put it out, there's thousands of people out there that have done
You
that.
can understand the exact thing that
Shaving their wives' heads and filling up with tears and thinking,
Absolutely.
oh my God, it's come to this. And we discovered a birthmark at the top of my wife's head. She never knew she had. And I even took a photograph of it and showed her. Look, you've got a birthmark at the top of your head. So,
oh dear.
So, Michael, the answer is yes. Yes.
Sorry, these are really long-winded answers. We do apologise. Yeah,
No, mate. No. I love hearing the stories. I love it.
it's all part and parcel of it.
It's cathartic, isn't it? Talking these things out and sharing the experiences. Because as you said, there's going to be thousands of people out there that are going through this right now.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. It's horrifying, but it's reality.
Yeah. Next one, Tony Hannum. How you doing, Tony? Hi, Bruce,
Tony.
Craig, and Gordon.
That
I've
Tony
lost.
T-Bone. Tony T-Bone.
It is Tony
Aye,
T-Bone.
Tony T-Bone.
Yeah. What I
Hiya,
say.
Tony.
Tony came on tour at the Picos with us,
Aye.
and in Hotel Infantado on the first
She's
night,
waiting
they have a
for dinner.
restaurant. So everyone normally has steaks and things. Tony went for the T-bone steak, like the tomahawk thing.
Oh, massive.
It was huge.
Feed
They're like,
people.
Half a coup in a plate.
hi, they brought like this massive bone on a plate with hardly any meat initially, and we were like, oh, is that all? And then they just kept bringing plates of meat. And it was all for him.
I just stuck a wee Picos iPhone video on my channel today.
I've not watched that
And
yet.
when you get to it, there's a picture of Tony, and somebody's superimposed on his T-shirt, Tony T-Bone,
T-bone,
on his
yeah.
T-shirt.
The top lad, Tony. So what he said, I think this is going to get me again, this one. I've lost more than I would wish on anyone. My mum and dad, my two brothers, my sister, my twin baby boys. After all that, I wanted and needed to live life to the full.
I didn't know this.
It's around that time I found your channel, and Live Your Life helped me a lot, Bruce. And to meet people and go places I would have never done before jumping on a bike. Mate, I had no idea. Question.
Huh?
Do you all find that riding a motorbike is a great way for mental health and stressful life to go away for a bit and to recharge your battery? 100%. Yeah.
100%. And I think what you need to take from this, Bruce, also is you've probably reached a lot more people than you realise in a lot of ways, in a lot more ways than you realise. And I'm one of them. I am living proof of that.
So there's a couple of things occurred to me. First of all, I wonder how long ago. He said he lost twins. I wonder how long
Twin
ago
baby
that,
boys.
Yeah, I wonder how long ago that was.
That's it's. I can't begin to imagine the type of grief this person has had to deal with in his life. I just can't. But
I have no idea.
my heart-
I've known
my heart
Tony for
goes out.
years.
my
Not
heart
any
goes
of
out
that.
to him. It really does.
He's a nice bloke, and he's a good.
100%.
lovely
I think the motorcycling has been, like you just said it, Bruce, right away. 100%. It's
Well, we've got some funny stories about that, but we might come back to. If we've got time, we can go. You know this thing about talking and concentrating on biking.
trying to make videos and actually not been able to edit them because of the language and the conversation.
Yeah.
And the comms and
the comms
you
and-
You should have
can't-
Dale come on a trip with you.
Listen, we were out not long ago, and I went to edit the video. I had to abandon ship. I had to cut most of it off and put music to most of it. And the conversation was, it would need to go behind a paywall.
Tony was a down to earth guy, genuine down to earth guy, and on the second night we went back to that hotel, the Infantado, and you guys all went into town. There was four of us stayed behind. There was Dale, unusually, me, Simon, and Tony. And Tony told a story about, I think it was his wife's 50th or something, wanting to really treat her. He gets a car to pick them up. Tony will be listening to this. He gets a car to pick them, a chauffeur-driven car, takes them to the Savoy, I think it was. Had a la carte dinner. He said it cost him, he didn't say what it was, but it was an arm and a leg, right? Had a la carte dinner with his missus for her birthday. Got the chauffeur to come back for him, and on the way back, he got them to take me fucking McDonald's because they were
So
they were
hungry.
still starving hungry. They went to McDonald's. I love it. Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, motorbiking. We talked about a lot about this in the early. The one we went to the Newcastle.
So we had a conversation when we arrived at Junior Castle, and it was I think it was really important, that conversation, because
I'm watching that today actually.
there was a point, it was actually you that mentioned it. We were flying down the road.
I'd only just known Craig at this point.
Aye. Obviously, at the speed limit, we were shooting down the road. And Gordon said, he says, you know what? He says, see for about 10 minutes there. So I forgot everything that was happening. How many times has that happened?
On a bike.
On a motorbike.
All the time.
So then we reasoned that I talked about, you don't drive a car now, but I'm sure you've driven a car. You're going to work, you're going to shops, whatever it is. You're driving a car and you think about what you're having for dinner or where you're going on holiday or something interesting. And it's maybe a long journey, quite a fairly long journey. And you suddenly go, shit, how did I get here? This roundabout is half an hour from my house. It seems like 5 minutes because I've been engrossed in some thoughts in my head.
Coaches.
And then I'd go and say, well, that doesn't happen on a motorbike. I've never been in a motorbike.
No.
Well, I've arrived at my destination or some roundabout or junction and going, oh, how did I get here? Because I've been concentrating all the way.
Motorbike requires your 100% attention.
So we talked about this and we said this was why we motorbike, because we could forget about being bereaved because we're concentrating so much. And then we actually buggered that up by actually ending up talking to each other at 60 miles an hour, 70
we're
miles an
flying
hour.
along roads
About
absolute
it.
shite.
But also stuff. But I've still got. But here's the thing, Bruce. I've still got a speed where I switch off. I'm on comms to him. We're going into Ardrossan. We're on this back road. He says to me, "Does this road get a lot better?" I says, "When this traffic clears, wait till you see this road. This is brilliant." So traffic clears. I'm head down. I'm gone. I'm forgetting about the comms now. I'm on it. I am totally on it. He's still rabbiting my ear about I'm at 80 mile an hour. And I'm like,
60 miles an hour, obviously. Yeah.
60 mile an hour.
60 miles an hour.
That's I've never been 80 mile an hour in my life.
What's it like, Gordon? I've never been at that speed. It must be amazing.
I've never seen it.
Twisty road. But it's just the fact he was still going on about getting new tyres for his bike, and I was giving it absolutely everything,
Yeah. Tony says, keep up the good work, all of you, please. You guys are helping so many you don't realise.
Thank you, Tony.
Great, Tony. Brilliant. Good to meet you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers for sharing that, Tone. Next one, Andy Andrews. Hi, guys, and welcome. So back in 2019, I lost my mum. We were close and it hit me hard, though I hid it well. She always wanted to travel, but was terrified of flying, tunnels, terrible seasickness, etc., so she never did. But she was a biker in her youth. As homage to my mum, I carry some of her ashes in a locket around my neck. So she's always close, but gets to travel with me on the bike to see a bit of the world that she couldn't. Is there something you do, or carry to keep your past loved ones close, and does it help you?
Well, I can answer that right away.
You do.
First of all, I've got a wedding ring.
Aww.
And secondly, I don't know if you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
I got some of her ashes put into a resin in a ring, and I got it made. One of the things that she said in her book of, this is what I'm telling you to do, was that wherever I go, I take her with me in some way. And I thought that was the best way to do it.
Where are we going next year?
Oh, we're going to the Arctic. Aye.
We're going to the Arctic Circle.
Are you?
One of my bucket lists, aye. I think
Up in
Peaky's going
Norway?
to come with.
Peaky might come. But
We've just said that in brew time. He's going to have to go now.
It's going to have to happen now, boys. Absolutely.
Right, Brian, you're coming.
Where you going? In Norway?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
well,
beautiful.
it's something that Sarah and I talked about. It was part of the bucket list thing. And come hell or high water, I'm doing it.
Yeah,
and
do it.
Gordon's
Stunning.
Gordon's roped himself out. Have you done it, Bruce?
Yeah. Yeah. Been around the world, you know. Yeah.
Well, obviously you've been round the world. I was meaning a specific couple.
No.
Obviously you've done it.
Listen,
of course.
Only as part of that trip. Only as part of that trip.
Of course you have.
We talked about the Arctic, my whole explanation about the Arctic Circle moving. Do you remember that? It's going
Was
north.
it you? Because I was just a way to bring up that interesting fact, and it was you that told me.
So the very, very quick. So they built the visitor centre in the late 50s, just north of Mo Irana.
That's it.
And when you go in there, Richie V did a video going up there, right? And it pissed with rain the whole time until I got to Lofoten Islands, right up in the north. TMF went, it was that freaky summer. We had 40 degrees in this country, or in England, and TMF was getting 25, 27 degrees in the Arctic Circle. I don't know if you've seen that series. But
That was
anyway,
a Motorrad tour, wasn't it, that you did?
yes, it was. So you go into the visitor centre and there's a thing you get your photograph taken with saying you've now entered the Arctic Circle. But there's also another bit of information that tells you to come out, once you've had your reindeer burger and chips like they all do, come out the visitor centre, turn right and go a mile up the road, a kilometre up the road.
Reindeer burger?
To make sure that you're in the Arctic Circle, because the Arctic Circle's moving. Mm-hmm. So as I explained to you in Nevis, what's the definition of the Arctic Circle? So if you live in a wee log cabin up there, right? If your log cabin where your location is doesn't get any sunset in the longest day of the year on the 21st of June, but doesn't get any sunrise on the 21st of December, the shortest day of the year, then you can be said to be in the Arctic Circle. Right, that's the definition of being in the Arctic Circle. When you talk to people who go in the Arctic Circle, they think, "Oh my God, how are you going to do that on a motorbike?" Because they hear North Pole, but the Arctic Circle is 1,650 miles south of the North Pole, and in the summer it'll probably be 10 degrees or something like that. So you're not going to be riding on ice. So the reason why it tells you to come out the visitor centre and go a mile up the road is because the Arctic Circle is moving and it's moving north. Now, why is it moving north? Because if this is the Earth and this is the Sun, the Earth is tilting backwards by about 2 degrees. And then it goes 2 degrees that way or 4 degrees that way. And this happens, don't ask me how they know this, every 42,000 years. Didn't know this in the late 50s when they built the visitor centre. So if you just go to the visitor centre, you're actually not in the Arctic Circle. So if you had your wee log cabin and you were inside the Arctic Circle because it never got dark in the 21st of June and never got light in the 21st of December, you're now getting some sunrise and some sunset. So you're not in the Arctic Circle, near luck. So it's actually moved a wee bit north, and that's why you have to go up there. But an interesting point, and I haven't even had the chance to talk to Craig about this. I ended up talking to Simon Weir about this. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, do you have any routes and stuff that we can look at to go? He says, I've never been because I'm not going to pay £15 a pint. That was exactly put in his text. He said, but I have put together with the help of other people a route that will take you all the way to Nordkap, which is the furthest northerly.
Yeah.
You got to go there.
And listen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've not even discussed this yet, but you'll hear this now.
I'm going to find this out.
You're doing it now, apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
Well, we don't need to go to Nordkap, but
no, I would like to.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Simon, okay. But Simon has got GPX files, ferry times, roads, routes, hotels, everything. It's all there.
Oh,
but it's 470 quid. So that's 235 quid each. But if we go for 3 weeks, that equates to about a tenner a day. And it will save us hours and hours and hours of research. And he said, if you don't take this, you'll end up not going on roads that you should have ridden on.
Well, I think that's a bargain.
So I think I want to go that route. I think
take longer than 3 weeks as well. Honestly, if you can.
Arctic Circle won't, but Nordkap will. Nordkap will.
I can take longer than that off work if I need to.
Is a KTM going to go that long for that?
You need to adjust the chain.
One way to find out.
Well, he's adjusting the chain. I'll just sit on my bike and enjoy the heated seat of my old man's
exactly.
I'll have a GSA by that point. I'll have a GSA.
We'll have a GSA by that point. I guarantee it.
Mate, test ride one, honestly. Test ride. See one in the flesh and test ride one. It's an impressive machine. Andy, thank you very much for that question, mate, and the info. Next one, Neil. Neil Bicknell. How you doing, Neil? Evening, Bruce, Craig, and Gordon. I'm an avid listener to Brewtime, but this one could be a difficult hour or two. Good luck with your channel, guys, and your next chapter in life. It's 7 years this November since I lost my wife to the shit disease, and my life was turned upside down. After 2 years of caring, I was drained, exhausted, and felt quite isolated. From that day, I resolved to live every day and make the most of my remaining years. So in 2020, after a 30-year gap, I bought a bike, which I thought was just for sunny days. Oh my God, how wrong was I? The passion for bikes and riding is now 100% stitched into my daily life. I never thought I would go touring, let alone in Europe. However, by far the biggest thing is the many new friends I have made in the process from all walks of life. Amazing. So just to say, the light at the end of that tunnel does exist. Questions. 1, how has your attitude towards life changed? And 2, why do you think that riding specifically is so good for our well-being? Wow.
That's
Good
a
question.
biggie. My attitude to life has changed quite
Lovely
considerably, I
constructed
think.
question.
I have changed my entire outlook in life. I'm now a believer of living each day. Not that I'm scared of the future or anything like that, but I have realised the fragility of life, and that if I don't grasp everything right now, then I might regret it at a later point. As far as the biking goes, the biking's been my saviour. It's everything to me. I mean, I ride my bike every day, working back, pissing rain, 10 degrees below zero. I don't care. I'm fortunate I live in the centre of town and I work in Glasgow, so I can ride my bike in these conditions. If I was in a country road, probably I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But
I was the same, yeah.
You. That's right. I just you riding into London and stuff, and you. But yeah, my attitude changed considerably. I think it was the devastation of what can happen. Just changed me as a person. I don't think I realised that initially. I think that's something I sort of came to the conclusion afterwards. And then when I started the channel, which, you know, when I was talking earlier on about helping other people, that was really it. It's about living my life the best way I can right now and not worrying too much about what's ahead. And that's really how it's changed me. And taking chances. Because I would rather take a chance and fail than not have tried at all.
What is it? The saying goes that you miss 100% of every swing you never take, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really good. I like that.
I'm not into that preordained stuff. I arrive at a junction. Shall I go left? Shall I go right? I want to believe I have the choice, and it's not all preordained like the Matrix.
You know?
But sitting here right now, I don't know if I've got 1 year or 30 years. You know, you look what happened to my missus, Bosch, just about to retire. So that changes. And I went to go back to what I spoke about earlier about the wee pilot light in the gas boiler or the turning it on, poof. So I'm going to try and live my best life, the big life. And I know which one my wife would want me to live, not the one watching the soap operas or the wee safe life. She would give anything to be here living life. She'd have probably a bigger life force than I did, if I'm quite honest. And she would give anything to be here living out the rest of her life. So I think it's not that I want to live her life for her, but I've got life. She's dead. I have life. And the best thing I can do with that is live the biggest life and best life that I can. So we've talked about motorbiking. Yeah, it is a saviour. You're concentrating. It's thrilling. It's exhilarating. So that answers that question where motorbiking is very important. It's one of these rare things. If you go up and down as well, you'd be a fighter pilot. For me, it's one down from being a fighter pilot.
Better than being a fighter pilot.
But yeah, I think about I've got a year, I've got 30 years, so I live every day I can in the best way I can. And I've also thought of one other thing that I wanted to say was that not long after Ruth died, I was saying this to my son and to anyone else that would listen, because I'd been married for 40 years, I became a sharer, and we were pretty much bolted at the hip, football, golf tournaments, whatever it was. We did a lot of things together. So I envisaged, before I even signed up with you to come to Picos, I envisaged going to Spain on my motorbike and spend a couple of months over there. And I would think this through, and I would think, I'll come round the corner one day and I'll see a blue sky and I'll see a big mountain and I'll see a lovely view, and I'll turn round and there'll be nobody there to share it with. I am a sharer. I'm not meant to be a single guy. I'm meant to be hooked up and sharing my life with somebody. So I'm a sharer. So when I went to the Picos, and this, because you were there, you'll know this, and I'll tell this precise moment this happened. Before I went, I knew there would come a point where I would see something and I would just feel very sad. And it happened at the Bear. Do you remember the Bear? Yeah. You guys all went walking up towards the Bear, but I just took a photograph from where I'd parked the bike and enlarged it on my video and went over to look at that view on the left-hand side. And I just stood there and looked. And the reason why it never really broke me down completely was because I prepared for it. I knew it was going to happen. And there it was, that moment, that view, that everything. And all I had was 15 hairy-arse bikers to share it with. that didn't really know that well.
None taken, Gordon, none taken, obviously.
And I'd almost prepared for that in my head, and there was that moment where I just stared. I just stood there and I stared, and I thought, "Oh my God, where is she?" So, but to put that in context, throughout that whole week, I think I'd made a comment on the group chat, didn't I? I wasn't my usual gregarious self.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Kind of a wee bit jaded by it all. But generally throughout that whole week, I had a great time. I wasn't in mourning the whole week. It was good fun and it was great. But that was the point up at the Bear for me. It kind of hit home. So
I get that. I understand that.
It definitely changes your outlook in life. Absolutely.
Yeah, I kind of find it's been 16 years since my mum passed, and I've been on my own little wee journey, really, because I remember when mum first passed, I was very much like, fuck it, live your life. So it was like, credit card, son, we're going to Disneyland, and it's just max a credit card, let's just do it. Forget tomorrow, let's live for today. And I was like that for a while, and I bought motorbike. Every year I'd buy a new motorbike. Just, right, okay, there's a new one come out, get rid of this one, get the new one. Just buying them all on the tick all the time. But eventually, I think I started lengthening my vision, lifting my vision. So it wasn't, I'm not living for today and forget about tomorrow. It's like, I'm enjoying today, but you've got to look after tomorrow as well.
Planning for tomorrow.
You're probably 100 grand in debt by that point.
I did get a bit daft.
This studio we're sitting in right now is testament to what you've just said, because Sarah and I had a vision for what we were going to do here, which was put on hold. And I have had a big legal burden in terms of costs and everything like that, which has hit me hard financially. But I've kind of spent the last of my money getting this studio set up the way I planned it for the future, because while, I suppose that's a bit of a contradiction in terms, because I'm talking about living day at a time, but I'm still sort of thinking about where it's going to go. And I'm planning to start a YouTube channel that's dedicated to live performances, live music performances, with loads of musicians and singers and everything involved in it.
Oh, wow.
And that was our goal. That was something we talked about years ago. In fact, it was during the pandemic, because we couldn't go out and gig on stage. Things were happening, and I says, well, how good would it be if we could just do it live in the studio and I could use all my camera gear and we could record it and all that. So I've invested pretty much everything I've got in this space.
Car's going as well, isn't it?
My future. I've even sold my car. Aye.
Have you?
Aye.
He's got brand new keyboards sitting over there.
I've got it. Aye.
Is it?
Wow,
man, I'll tell you.
He's going to spin us round.
Aye.
Look at the keyboards.
Oh, blimey, you got a proper studio going on there.
Aye.
So nice one, man. So what's the channel going to be called?
No idea.
No, you don't know yet.
That's a good name. That's a good name. I think that's changing Riding Through Grief to something else as well.
Oh, no, we're losing you.
You've interrupted the volume.
I can hear you. I can hear you and see you, no bother. Oh, it's saying my internet connection is unstable. Oh, don't do that to me. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine and see you fine.
We can hear you and see you.
Okay, come in, Houston. Right, we're still here.
I should never have touched the laptop.
Is that Houston, Renfrewshire?
Aye.
So you were thinking of changing the name of Riding Through Grief?
No, not as such. It was more a case of, as time progresses, and obviously we change as a person, and everything changes about life. In fact, it was actually someone I was talking to today in a video call said, what about the future? And I said, riding through grief. What happens in a year's time or 2 years' time? Am I still riding through grief? I suppose in a way I am. I just don't know. It's one of these things where there's not an end to grief, is there? Like the counsellor said, you grow and you grow around it and you create more space for other things in your life. It was more a case of, do I get to a point in life where I change it maybe to RTG or something and put something else behind it? Or I don't know. It's one of these things that I'm not sure about. Sorry, go on. No, on you go. That's good.
From an outsider point of view, for me, like riding through grief, it's about the journey, and that journey's different. Whether you've just found out that you or your loved one has a diagnosis, and then obviously it moves to when you lose them and the immediate aftermath of that. But you fast forward 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years down the line, your journey continues, doesn't it? The grief never goes, but your journey develops.
Yep.
And lots of
Yeah.
people, like I feel guilty because I'm enjoying life, and my mum's passed away, but life does go on, doesn't it? Life goes on.
Of course it does. Absolutely. Yeah.
There's people out there that I think need to see that that's okay. It's okay to keep going with your life and to enjoy what life brings you. Yeah, I would keep.
Well, I've pinned a
personally, I
video
would say
to my
keep that name.
I was going to say it's not my channel, it's Craig's channel. But now you're talking, you're 17 years. I think
It makes sense what you
Like
just
that,
said.
But
It
you've
really
still
does.
you've still got issues about it. So riding through grief, the grief never goes. Just it changes in some way.
And you change as
What
well.
I want
don't
to
you?
show people is there's maybe a potential that I can show a journey, I suppose, from start to wherever I am at that point. Wherever someone joins the channel, they see me or whatever I'm doing at that time, whatever it is, going to the Arctic or something. But I've pinned the first video to the channel so that if someone links onto the channel, that's going to start playing, and that's the bit where I introduce.
Yeah.
I've lost my wife, blah, blah, blah. It's a month ago or whatever it was. But no, I can see your point. That does make sense. There's no timeline to grief, is there?
No,
Really?
no,
When
no.
you think about it.
There's
Like
no
you say,
right or
16
wrong,
years
is there?
down the line,
We all deal with it differently.
Hurts. It's still painful. Yep.
There's this is a wee bit serious, Bruce. There's something I've wanted to say to you. You can say, "Oh God, what's he going to say now?" Something I wanted to say to you, and this is my heartfelt. This is my heartfelt thoughts. Craig, I've watched, not as long as Craig, but I've watched your channel for about 6 years, and you're very, very honest about. You look at people with 250,000 subscribers, and why is their channels taking off? And you've got lots of subscribers, but I know that your ambition would be to have more. And you've often made videos down through the past. You're such an honest, kind of open guy, and you talk about not sure where the channel's going. I've had a bit of a rough time recently, trying to get my focus back and all the rest of it. And I remember a long time ago commenting to you that, you're the channel. Your personality, your integrity, you're the channel. And through tonight and listen to what you've had to say and something that Craig said, I would come back and I would say to you that you absolutely are the channel. Now, we don't want to spend all the time talking about grief and mental health, but we touch on it, and you do so many other things, and great fun, the ride-outs, the chicken strips and all the rest of it. But as Craig has just said, and I know other people have said this too, as Craig just said, you were the reason why he started to live your life. And we've also talked about how much of a help that you've been to us and to other people who have been bereaved and going through difficult times, because you touch on this stuff. And I don't know whether this will resonate with you or not. I think you've got something like 95, 100,000 subscribers. The real satisfaction that you can take away from all of this is that it doesn't really matter if you go from 100 to 200. You're paying your bills. You're having a nice life. And sometimes I think about how many chicken strip tours can this guy do? How many fan ride-outs can this guy do? Because
You're only one guy.
Before it comes so samey and so, I want to do something else now. Where's the next station? Where's the next leap going to? But if you really stop and think about the amount of people who you have helped and are helping with this channel, TeapotOne, what it does, I don't think it really matters. This is only my personal opinion. I don't think if it really matters if you stay at 95,000 subscribers. You're living a very, very worthwhile life, and you are helping people, and you're making people laugh. You're giving a community. You're loved by other people.
Yep.
Why would you want any more?
I never ever watched your channel because I wanted to see bike reviews or anything like that. I watched it because of your banter.
I said that. He's the channel.
Yeah.
Before we go blow too much smoke up your ass, honestly, we all want more. We all want better. We all want, reach for the stars. And so many people live lives that are pretty zero, and they don't really do much with them. Even if you were to stay right where you are right now for the next 5 years, so what? You bring so much comfort, so much joy and laughter to so many people. And if you're still making a bit of money out of it, paying your bills and getting by, I would be 100% satisfied with that.
Here, here.
Don't go anywhere.
Thank you, man. Appreciate
right there.
it. Thank you very much.
And I want to say that to you because it's true.
Appreciate
And
that,
the
Gordon.
amount
Thank
of
you.
people, the amount of people that you're helping, just doing what you're doing today, yesterday, and tomorrow, is phenomenal. So there you are.
Thank you, man. I just I love to hear that, you know, my mum's words of live your life have such a positive impact on other people as they did with me. Changed my life, and it's amazing to hear the impact it has.
Just stay there and keep doing it, mate. Just stay there and keep doing it. It's a worthwhile life.
Certainly is. We've got one more on Patreon. David McCracken. Davey, how you doing, pal? Hi, lads. I don't want to lower the tone, but I'm afraid by now all the serious, hard-hitting questions have been asked, and it's up to me to ask the silly stuff. So without further ado, 1, what's your favourite pie filling?
Oof, that's easy.
Don't say
kebab.
Cream. Don't say
kebab.
Cream. All right.
Kebab.
I'm a steak and kidney man.
No, kebab pie at St Mun Football Park.
Kebab
is it?
pie, of course.
Incredible. I'm a kebab pie fan. I'm sorry. There's absolutely no anywhere else I can go. Oh no, wait a minute. Sorry. We did a podcast, not for my channel, obviously. And they were advertising a company in Paisley called the Paisley Pie Company. And they gave us a pile of pies to try while we were doing the podcast. And there was a cheesy nacho pie.
Oh,
Epic.
Cheesy nacho pie.
Best pie I've ever tasted in my puff.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
I'm still taking kidney.
Oh,
I was going to go macaroni.
Cheesy nacho pie. Oh my goodness. Do you know what? I'm going to send you some.
Cheesy natural.
Cheesy
Thanks.
nacho.
Cheers.
Cheesy nacho.
Oh, nice.
Cheesy natural.
Cheesy natural as opposed to cheesy unnatural pie.
The one night that I wasn't in this podcast because I said I've got too much shit to do. I was editing. So because they're using my studio, I've got to be here. But I said, I'll sit on the couch and I'll edit. And they said, we've got all these pies. So I ended up spending my whole night microwaving bloody pies to feed to everybody and cut up. While I was in the kitchen microwaving the pies, I ate a whole pie to myself. And it was a cheesy nacho pie.
Good lad.
Best pie I've ever had. Absolutely amazing.
Bruce, I know you live down south and you've lived there for years, but are you familiar with the term say aye to a killie pie?
Oh, God,
no, I've never heard of that.
No, not at all.
No.
Right, it's been around for 20 years. All the vans driving up and down, say aye to a killie pie. So this guy takes over Kilmarnock Football Club. And you know, Kilmarnock's nickname is the Killie, right? The Killie Kilmarnock. And this director comes up with this phrase, a killie pie. And out of all the football stadiums in Scotland, the best pie that you could get 10 years ago was down at Kilmarnock. And all the vans delivered to the shops.
Not anymore.
Say aye to a killie pie. And now, because this director has left and taken the rights to that phrase with him, all the vans now say aye to a Kilmarnock pie. It doesn't have the same ring.
Doesn't it, does it?
But the killie pie was good. Which reminds me of more reasons to shop at more reasons. Now, Morrison's used to be, I used to live in Preston, and Morrison's used to be a supermarket in North England. Several years later, they built over Safeway. Remember Safeway in Scotland?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So Morrison's on Scotland now. Now, when I lived in Preston years ago, there was an advert on the radio and it went, more reasons to shop at more reasons. I thought, that's really good. Like that bit of marketing. It's back. But it goes, more reasons to shop at Morrison's. You're like, that doesn't rhyme. Why don't you just say Morrison's?
Somebody would complain about it for the most
Yeah, more likely.
More reasons to shop at Morrison's. So say aye, a killie pie's gone. Great pie.
That was a long answer there, wasn't it?
Wasn't it?
Pie. Cheesy nacho pie.
Sounds immense.
That's what Lefroy does for him.
Kebab pie was the thing until I remembered the cheesy nacho pie.
Never heard of a kebab pie either. God,
Oh,
savage.
St Mun Football Park. There's a company called Pie Sports, and they've got the same logo as Sky
High
Sports.
sports.
That's something.
And they supply St Mun Park and Partick Thistle, and the pies are
Beautiful. Davey's got 2 other questions. They're quick fire ones. Favourite beverage for washing down said pie?
Moretti.
Stella.
Oh. I can't believe you didn't say ginger. Iron brew.
Ginger.
No, my
Your other national drink.
Iron Brew.
Aye.
Iron Brew's got to be.
Iron Brew.
Well, sorry, if I'm not allowed alcohol, it's Iron Brew.
Made in Scotland from Girdles.
That's the one. Last one. Would you rather lick a lamppost on a frosty day or teabag a hungry crocodile? Jesus. How do people's brains work in this class?
If you'd asked me that question 2-3 months ago, I would not known what teabagging was, but
No,
I was exposed to an experience that I've learned what it is. But
Oh, God, and we need to hear now.
look a
I
lamp.
can't comment on that one. We're both going to lick a
Like a
lamppost.
lamppost,
I want to know about the teabagging, Gordon. Come on.
Are you so naive that you don't know what teabagging is?
I know exactly what teabagging
Well,
is.
yeah,
I want to know how you now know.
I can't
I've
comment.
just got to butt out.
Can't comment.
I've just got to butt out and say that somebody explained it to me in a pub once. I'm not a Billy, he's a Tim and all that.
Oh,
comment.
Jesus.
But we're
Right,
licking
David, thank you
lampposts,
very
we're
much for that
We're
question.
definitely
mate.
licking lampposts. Thanks for the question. Aye.
You've lightened the mood, Davey. Thank you very much for that, mate. Gents, that is over 3 hours, and that's just Patreon. There's still questions on Instagram and Facebook, but we'll leave that for another time. We'll have to get you back on.
Is that 9:45?
It is, mate. Aye.
Jesus.
One of the best experiences of my entire life.
Listen, mate, this has been
Teabagging.
brilliant. Thank you so much.
Gents, I've really appreciated you coming on. I appreciate your honesty and your candid honesty with this. Really has. I'm sure loads of people out there, myself included, I found it beneficial just to chat about stuff. And
I hope so. I genuinely do. I hope so.
Pretty good, mate. Pretty good.
Thank you very much for giving us a chance to come on and have a chat.
I think teapotting beats teabagging.
Teapotting and
genuinely,
teabagging.
lads, if there's anything I can do to help promote what you're doing, please just let me know.
Right.
Very kind of you. Thank you.
A real pleasure, Bruce.
Gents, before we
you
go,
very much. See you soon.
the floor is yours. If you want to promote anything, anyone, feel free.
That's more for you.
Oh, you kind of put me in the spot there.
Rick Paisley or whatever else.
No,
Don't say St Mirren Football Club. Come on.
No.
Don't.
what's wrong with St Mirren Football Club? Come on now. Come on. Listen, we got 6 last year. We're getting to Europe.
Oh, sheesh.
If I was going to plug...
Although my brother-in-law's a massive Aberdeen fan, and Aberdeen are doing amazing this year. Oh,
I'm not
year.
a football man. Not a football
Are you not?
man. No.
Oh, no.
If I was to plug anything, I would be plugging the very, very, and I won't name them all now. They say in the radio, and anyone will give a shout out to. Well, okay, I have a shout out to good friends and family that have helped me this far.
Aye.
Craig, my sister Doreen, her husband Alan, my brother-in-law Brendan, his wife Veronica, my son Aaron and his fiancée Ailsa, 2 really great friends, Jill and Ron.
Yes. Oh, they're lovely.
Met.
Lovely.
My wife's best friends Fiona and Mary, and their partners Alan Gall and the guy that I can't remember his name right now. It's just gone right in my head. Very embarrassing. That shouldn't have started this. and my very good friend Mario, who I'm out on the piss with tomorrow.
Well, I have a wee friend in Sweden who I must make a special mention to, Charlotte. Charlotte Graham Yort. She owns a yarn store in Stringness, which is about an hour from Stockholm. And for the entire month of October, she's donating 25% of all sales in her pink yarn stuff to the Beats and Cancer charity.
Oh,
and she's popping over in the 1st of November, and it's going to be in the 5th, and she's going to take whatever she's made up to the Beats and Cancer charity, which is a wonderful thing. And a lovely friend who video calls me almost every day, and she's listened to every piece of crap I've ever given to her. So
wow. And the guy whose name I just cannot bring to mind right now, and I can see his face. I'm out to dinner with him on Sunday, so I hope he never sees this video. He's not a biker, so he'll probably never watch this.
It'll be safe.
My head. Anyway, there you go. Good
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm humbled that you had us on here, so thank you.
Oh no, don't be daft. I'm really chuffed that you lads have come on to chat and share your experiences.
Eddie.
You were not going to let that lie, were you? You could not let that go.
Sorry, pal.
Well done.
Can I help you that?
Nice one. Folks, I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you found
To be
something
honest,
beneficial from it.
3 hours have passed. It's been amazing. Thanks for.
Better sign off to the.
Sorry.
audience.
It's fine, don't worry about it. No worries.
Go.
Folks, I hope you've got something from this. I hope it's helped some of you. Thank you to everybody that shared, some really personal things there. Some people I've known for years have told me stuff I never knew anything about them there. So thank you for your honesty. What can we say, folks? Just look after those that you love. Get on out there and live your life. Woo-ha!
Woo-ha!
Oh, and subscribe to their channel. Links down below. Cheers.